And I played the wrong intro because I'm still stuck in the last show. But anyway, you know the deal. It's the what calf update is this? 210. We've been doing this 210 episodes. That's a long time. I think we're rolling into close to 5 years. At any rate, you'd think after 5 years I would know which intro to play, but we're not going to play that one. That was the Heritage preview. So welcome back to this show. We just did another show and that started at 7:30 with Joe Manarino, and today we've got, I think we're going to midnight Eastern tonight, everybody, because we do have a lot to cover, and we're going to start off with something that actually we kind of got the wheels in motion for this about, gosh, I feel like 2 months ago I talked with Mark Hay about this, but let me bring him in and let's get this conversation started. Hey, Mark.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Bill.
How you been?
Oh, busy. Went to Iowa, then I was in Seattle last weekend, so just traveling for taking care of family, and then also went to a music festival and stayed with Stefano Gaudiano and saw Brian Tees and Moratat last weekend. So
every time I get a Snapchat from you, you're sitting in first class somewhere. I don't know what's up with that.
Hey, sun shines on the dog's ass. Everyone's allowed to say, yeah.
Now everybody knows we're Snapchat pals. That's saying something right there. It's only you and my family. So hey, remember, gosh, this thing that kind of precipitated this conversation. I don't remember exactly when it started. You probably do, since it involved you. I just remember you and I talked about it. There was a piece of artwork that was kind of a blind bid. I remember promoting that with you, and then then about 3 weeks after that was all over, it came out that the guy who had won the piece, paid for it, that the item got lost in shipping. And that's kind of where you and I first started talking about it, because there were you could tell there were a lot of questions from the community. Just, I had 2 or 3 people actually email me about it, and not like in a judgmental kind of way about like, how could that happen or what happened. People were really curious about the insurance side of things, right? When a piece of art like that, whatever it went for, it gets lost.
Considerable amount of money. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's one of those conversations that nobody really wants to have. I mean, especially as an art dealer, it's one of those things where you go, I don't want it to affect my reputation, but it's just part of the business. I'll just do my best I can to handle the situation how I would want to be treated if I was a customer. And that's, ultimately what I did. But I'd be happy to walk you and everybody through how things worked out.
Yeah, that's the thing I think we all are curious about, because there's some of us who do have insurance for our collections, or like me with the art sale things that I do, I insure. I use collectibles insurance for kind of an add-on when shipping artwork. So kind of walk us through what the process was there. I mean, how do you prove the value? How do you at what point in time when something gets lost does it actually classify as the ability to even claim it as an insurance claim?
So I use FedEx for shipping this 2-day service, thinking, 2 days, shouldn't be any issue at all.
Yeah.
It's FedEx, right? And I shipped it in my indestructible masonite package, which you've seen my stuff, but it's 14 by 18 inches by about 1/4 of an inch when you put 2 together.
Yeah.
So this was what we were shipping to the lucky auction recipient. And so he contacted me. It was supposed to arrive on a Friday. He contacted me on Monday after it didn't arrive. And I reached out to FedEx. Basically, there's a claim, but it's not I want my money back claim. It's a claim for them to go and look for the piece, through their different warehouses and, different places that they can look for. So I initiated that. And I have a relationship with my local FedEx guy because they ship all the time and he knows me. So he called like everybody he knows, so FedEx has a wing of an airport in Dallas and that ships all their planes out of. And so he had that guy check their shelves there. He had, the Dallas hub check their shelves, called to the city, for them to check. And this went on for about a week, where they were trying to find it. I had a claims rep who essentially would communicate with me if he saw anything show up on their end. Apparently, their tracking details is a little more extensive than what they show on the front side of things. And so essentially, there became kind of a discrepancy between the system was saying um, in the city that it was arriving in, that's the last place that it was seen, but the supervisor of that warehouse said it never arrived to him. And so it's a he said, she said kind of thing. And after a week of it not showing up and essentially it not going anywhere, or maybe it's 2 weeks, I had the FedEx guy close out the claim. So with FedEx, I just used the basic $100 insurance amount
Mm-hmm.
because I have a separate insurance policy through collectibles like you do. I have a dealer policy. So I use signature required because that
Gotta
changes
have that. Yep.
the value of the package. The maximum they will insure for a non-signed package is $400. Um, the maximum they will insure for a signed package is $40,000. So I basically showed my due diligence to my insurance company by completing the claim with FedEx, and got the $100 check. They didn't give me my shipping costs back, which is a fairly common thing. You have to. It sounds ridiculous, but you have to go back and try to fight them for for that amount as well.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, $100 check will just show up in the mail, and that'll be that. And once that happened, the email chain with my FedEx claims rep just dried up. Like, there was no longer an email address that would take emails. So that's an unfortunate part to that process. But essentially, the FedEx, when you're filing a claim with FedEx, they want the content description, how many items are in the package, the value of each item, what the package looked like. So on expensive packages, I take a picture of the front and the back of the package, so that I have something to fall back on. I don't do that with every package because obviously that would be a lot of work. But for more expensive stuff, that's what I do. And I mark, fragile all over the container on both sides.
Were you the one that actually wrote the word fragile here?
Yes, I know.
Okay, I thought maybe
you amazing, right?
Yeah, my wife says I have bad handwriting, but boy,
Reggie, right? So then you have to upload pictures to FedEx.
Well, FedEx gave you the $100. I mean, they said, okay, you put $100 value on here, so they gave you that. So So how do you end up? Right. What's the process then with the insurance?
So after I concluded the claim with FedEx, I reached out to Collectibles Insurance, which they are a part of GBLI, which is Global Indemnity Company. And somebody from them contacted me back. And basically, a collectible claims examiner asked for any correspondence that I had with the FedEx representative, a copy of the invoice of the sale, and I also provided a screenshot of the bank wire transfer page. So my bank account that showed the wire coming in for that amount.
They can prove the value. Yeah.
Right. And then a copy of what the artwork looked like. Let's see what else.
But so after you've established that with them, what's the process for them to then, approve a claim like that?
So she basically asked for another week to see if it's going to just happen to show up.
Right.
And to contact her back if it didn't show up, which obviously it didn't. And when I was on the phone with her, I asked, what would happen if it shows back up after a claim is made, right? Because I hadn't been in that situation before, but I did have a piece show up a year later.
After that, yeah.
Before,
I remember that story.
Once before, yeah.
It has happened.
Once but either way, it wasn't nearly as expensive as this situation, but it has happened. And so ultimately, she said that if it comes back undamaged, then I would need to reimburse them in the amount that was paid to me. So ultimately, they wrote me a check less the $200 deductible, and she had it out that next day. Wow. And I got it a few days later. So for them, I had to print a copy of the invoice and then have the artist in question sign it. So there's original signature shown on there. And in this case, it was Paolo. So I sent it to Paolo. He signed it and sent it back to me. And so, then they just cut the check. And
had you refunded the buyer yourself ahead of that, or did you wait until you got the insurance back to
I waited and got the insurance back just to make sure there wasn't any issues. I mean, one way or another, the customers can be taken care of, but I would rather not have that large of amount out of my pocket without,
And they were understanding. Obviously, they
you
gave them
the I communicated with them the whole time what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think they had even asked for some copies of correspondence with FedEx and that kind of thing. So
I'd want to, just know exactly what's going on behind the scenes for a purchase like that. So, so you took care of them after you got the check. And now this is, this is in June.
So this went down. They contacted me, the customer, on July 17th, 2023, saying that, hey, it's not here. It took about a month to get FedEx to close things out and and collectibles to close things out. So they got their money back after a month. And so fast forward to July 17th of 2024. I had just had another piece go missing. This was international, but it wasn't real expensive. But I literally just got off the phone with FedEx about it, trying to find it, right? And start that process again. And then I get an email while I'm at my comic shop, right? So I just saw something about a package,
So you assumed it was the international, package that you had that was coming back, or that they're.
So I didn't read it right then. I got back to it, and then I looked at it, and I was thinking, okay, well, it looks like maybe they found my package. And then I saw that basically I got an email from them stating, let's see. So it's from a FedEx Package Research and Recovery Department. They're responsible for finding lost and damaged packages, essentially. So they said, we have a package at our facility which appears to have shipped before June 3, 2024, right? So, I mean, I ship hundreds of packages, and I've had a handful go by, missing over a year period of time, or file claims and maybe they show up after the fact. But I had no idea what the hell this was, for sure. I mean, in the back of my head, I was like, no way. Like, I don't want to think about that until we'll see what happens. But I noticed that the details of the package item are Spider-Man artwork. That's all it said. So I reached out and asked for a tracking number because I do have so many packages, and they didn't have a tracking number. They said that the label was missing from the front of the package, so they didn't have a tracking number or any identifying information. I had to fill out an online form basically stating what I thought it was. And then they showed me, I asked for a picture and they showed me a picture, and you can show the picture again. That is what showed up in my email.
Yep.
Amazing
So
Spider-Man.
you knew it was the Spider-Man piece,
right?
With your craggy handwriting on it. Yes.
So, so basically, they were wanting to know if they should ship it on to the original location or to me, which is fishy because how would they know where it went if they didn't have the label, right? I told them just to ship it back to me because I wanted to make sure everything was okay, it wasn't damaged, and then obviously I needed to contact the insurance company to see how we close it out.
Right.
And it arrived. The masonite container was in perfect condition. It had my original label. It also had the original FedEx label on it with the original tracking information. And they actually used the original tracking number to reship it back to me. And I had asked if I could expedite the package back to me, and they said it had to go the original method that I shipped. So they shipped it back 2-day service to me using the original tracking number. And then I got it. And like I said, so obviously, I don't know why they said the label wasn't on it, but 100% it was. The container was perfect.
Sure.
No damage.
So you contacted the buyer, right?
Right. Yep.
And
well, no.
okay.
I contacted the insurance company.
Okay, you go to them first. Okay.
Right, because I want to make sure, okay, I can sell this because technically the piece belongs to them right now. And I needed to make sure that I can resell it, get my money back from the customer if they're still interested. And how do I go about reimbursing them? So they didn't have any problem with that. They said, go reach out to the customer, see if they still want it. And then ultimately, I need to write them a check for the amount that I paid them. So I contacted the customer. Obviously, he was elated, surprised and elated to get that kind of word. And then he wanted it. So he made a payment to me. And then, so ultimately, my claims rep at Collectibles said that they would close out the file and once they got the check. So they got the check, they cashed the check. I shipped the artwork to the customer overnight this time to just, be doubly sure that it shows up. And then they got it. They let me know all was good there. And then I thought everything was closed out. And then today, ironically, yesterday, I got a renewal notice from Collectibles because it's that time of the year. And they had made a change to part of the policy. So I looked at it to see what was up with that. And I noticed that I was being charged more money. So I called them today and said, hey, what's this extra charge for? And it was for me having a substantial claim last year. Mm-hmm. So they received the check, they cashed it, but they never closed out the claim. Apparently notes were in the file, but the right people didn't talk to each other. So word of the wise, keep all of your communications with all the companies until everything is 100% complete. Thankfully, I keep all the emails. I had the person's name and the claim file and everything that I needed to know to tell them, hey, you've already cashed my check. This is the number. And so he made the correction today and changed the amount. So as of today, it's all 100% resolved.
Client's happy. Paula was clearly happy to know that his art wasn't lost.
Right. And obviously I notified him as soon as I got the package. And got on the same page with him before I contacted the insurance company. Well, and then whenever you want to talk about insurance in general. Like I said, reading the policy today and the change is interesting. It's something that I think collectors and dealers who have collectibles will want to pay attention to whenever there's a change made on their policy, to see exactly what that change is and how it affects them.
Yeah, because I can say that I've looked into getting riders on my home insurance, and you as an art dealer, clearly we see all the Itoyas and whatnot lining the wall over there. You have a lot of art that you have to protect. So, and I know that, you have collectibles insurance, not just for the shipping, but for the art in your home. I think these are questions that I think all art collectors wrestle with, just because as your $10,000 collection grows into a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 collection, you start realizing you got to protect it somehow if they're from burglary or any kind of damage. So so let's, I mentioned to you when we talked earlier that I recently had to redo my home policy, and that was one of the questions I had was how are collectibles treated within a standard home policy. And essentially they're I forget what the exact classification was, but they classify it in like basically the limit on a standard home policy is like $10,000 for personal goods that are considered a collectible, and that includes almost anything from if you collect firearms, or if you collect art, comic books, it doesn't matter, or anything that's even just ornate counts as that. It's a $10,000 max, and if you want anything more than that, you have to address it within your insurance policy. But you have collectibles insurance, so that's a little different.
Well, so I have a rider for my my home policy for my personal collection. I separate it from the art that I have as a business. So I actually went through the process of getting a separate rider for a specified amount, and you have to send them pictures of everything, detail who the artist is, what the name of the piece is, I think even the size and everything, and specify the value for each item. So I did that for my personal collection. So that is all insured for that amount per piece. Now, yes, as a collection grows in value, you probably should go back and increase the rider. But ultimately, I have that separated from my business. I have the collectibles for the business. And yes, so
and they know, and with collectibles insurance, they know that it's business related. It's not just because they obviously
they have different kinds of policies.
Yeah,
so they have a regular collector policy, and then they have a dealer policy. So I have a dealer policy, and I've never looked at the collector policy, so I'm not sure. I'm guessing it has the same insurance, the shipping insurance.
Right, I would think that would be the same.
But I'm not 100% sure of that. But obviously, as a dealer, it will insure me at conventions. It will insure me, at my home office. However, so what was changed in the policy, as far as I can tell, on the renewal is that not only does my alarm for my house have to be activated anytime there's nobody.
Right. Well, they want you to have a security system. That's kind of number one. That's
so I have a security system. It has to be monitored by either the police or by, like ADT or security.
Right. That's like that. Without it, they won't even write the insurance policy for anything of substance. And so, with the amount of art you have as an art rep, you're in that level where they make certain requirements, or they won't write the policy. So you were already required to have a working alarm system that was engaged when you weren't home, and all those sorts of things. But the addendums in this current policy stated what?
So it's stating that any lock that can essentially prevent somebody from stealing your items needs to be locked if no one is on the premise, meaning, so the exterior doors obviously have to be locked. The alarm has to be on. I have an art office, as you can see, with a lot of stuff. And so my art office door has to be locked whenever I leave, whenever no one is in the house, in order for the insurance company to cover the full amount. If any of those things are not in effect, then they will only cover $40,000, no matter your insurance amount. They will only cover $40,000 for burglary
So
theft.
you could have a $750,000
Right.
policy or something,
Yep.
and if you forget to lock your office door in a theft, they're only
Right.
going to cover $40,000 because of your negligence for
Right.
a lock. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's new.
Or
That
if you
wasn't in the
leave the
prior
door
policy.
open, huh?
Hmm.
Sorry.
Okay.
So if you leave the door open to your house accidentally, I'm sure even
You're
if the
really
alarm's on, they're probably going to try to get funky with you. But essentially, you leave any of those things off, and they're going to just pay the 40,000. Otherwise, if everything's in effect, then they'll pay the full amount that's on your
right.
coverage.
Well, I mean, that
So
just
that, I
shows
mean,
you what
that's
you're
a big
getting into.
deal, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, you have a business policy, so that would be different from what a art collector might have. But we know a lot of art collectors that have $500,000
Yeah.
collections these days, right? So it just pays to ask a lot of questions. And obviously, collectibles insurance, we're not singling them out at all. There are other insurance companies out there that do handle collectibles, and like you said, even with the rider, if you go through your personal insurance, there's opportunities there. Not all insurance companies will allow you to have a rider on it. That you might have to get a second insurance
Yeah.
policy from a different company, but
And
it
collectibles insurance has done right by me in every situation. They've been great to work with. Obviously, a lot easier than FedEx to deal with as far as the claim process goes.
Mhm.
But they're an insurance company, and unfortunately, insurance companies are going to look for every avenue they can to make sure that they are covered as much as possible. And if you're quote negligent in any way, then they're going to capitalize on it. So anytime you get a change notice on your insurance policy, read it. It might not be anything, but it might be something big. So yeah.
So do you have I don't see a deadbolt on your door there on the office. I mean, but I guess
it's not a lock, a turn lock. I mean, no, it's not a deadbolt. I mean, ultimately, if someone's in your house, a deadbolt might slow them down, but they're going to break through the door. Or whether it's a deadbolt, they'll just
but they don't say that you have to have a lock on
right.
the door.
No,
But if there is a lock on the door, it darn well better be
locked.
better be locked if you're not at home. Okay,
Right.
well that's good to know. I mean, but yeah. Well, the good thing is, I mean, back to the original story. I mean, the art turned up, and the original buyer still wanted it.
Yep.
Paulo, he doesn't have to worry about a piece of his art out there in the wild, and it just took a long holiday from all of you. I mean,
right.
And at the end of the day, you did work things out with them because the art did come back, so it shouldn't be a strike against you on the insurance claim.
Right. Yeah. You just got to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Because once again, you can't count on people, unfortunately, to do their job completely. So CYA, make sure you have all your documentation lined up in case something happens. Another thing is I asked that department who found the package, like, where was it? And for any details about like where has it been for a year? How did you guys get it? And yeah, they wouldn't tell me anything at all, which is not a surprise.
Well, the only thing that surprised me was I swear you were the one that told me to always put the like colored tape around the outside or something, and you didn't. It didn't look like it had any. I don't have one of my.
Well, I have the white stickers. I didn't show you the front of the package, obviously, because, but I have the white stickers with red fragile written on them. So one other thing. So after this package went in the wind, I kind of changed some things. So everything's a learning experience, right?
Yep.
I mean, Masonite's the best thing that you can pack art in my opinion. I've been doing this 22 plus years. But I think because it's thin, occasionally it gets kicked under a shelf. or something like that, and they don't see it until they do the spring cleaning and find your package.
Sure.
And so for more expensive packages over a certain amount, I put them in Masonite, put a tracking shipping label on it, print an additional shipping label, put it on a white, I bought boxes from Uline or whatever, and put it on this white box that I've now taped the Masonite package into, tape the white package complete, put Fragile all over it, and then have a label. So basically, if the white package, it's obviously thicker, so it's going to stand out more. The red's going to stand out more on it. In case their shelves are dark or something, white is going to stand out. So I started doing that for really expensive packages. And I don't know if this is legal or not, but I'm not really worried about it. Honestly, I put air tags in really expensive packages now. I
think a lot of people are doing that these days. You were mentioning in the chat as well. Air tags seem to make a lot of sense because you can always put a return label and envelope in there and have them back to you. I know a lot of high-end shippers of collectibles have been doing that for a while. Putting in an air tag or a tracking device, and even letting the buyer have access to be able to see that, so the buyer can literally see where that item is moving through, the whole system and everything. So it makes a whole lot of sense, and they're not that expensive. So, but again, I'm glad everything worked out well. I'm very happy for Paulo. I'm happy for the calf collector who can now say that present and the artwork in their gallery and be really happy about it. And but I'm glad again, it was good for you to share that, because I think a lot of us were curious about it. At the time you didn't want to talk to me about it really, and so now it's good, it's over, and everything worked out.
I mean,
so
obviously not something that's exciting to talk about, and also I had hopes that it would come back. As crazy as that might sound, this is the second time a package came back after a year just out of nowhere. Other times, so one time I got Masonite back 10 years later, and it was just the front face of the Masonite, but all the package contents were gone. And that was
your $2 of Masonite. You could use it to ship again, something else.
So, but
there's a silver line.
Sometimes it never comes back. Other times it does. And so thankfully this time the miracle happened and we got it back.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Mark, for sharing that. I hate to move you along, but I got another segment to do here. But no, I appreciate you going over that. It's something that nobody, shipping their artwork, and again, a lot of collectors clearly selling through CAF and other places we're shipping art all of the time, and so we run the risk of having something like this happen. And so not everybody's going to have collectibles insurance, but it's certainly something to consider, especially when there's limits on insuring packages when you ship them via FedEx or USPS or UPS, whatever you use. So
use signature required
all the time. Got to have that.
Even if it's an inconvenience, use signature required. Makes a huge difference, obviously.
Yes, it does. All right, Mark. Well, go back to your dinner or whatever before you joined us here, but we'll be talking.
Okay. Take care, Bill. We'll see you guys.
You too, Mark. All right. See, there you go. And I forgot it was actually a year before. I thought it was actually sometime around the first of the year. But man, Mark's been very fortunate to have 2 packages get lost and a year later get returned to him. But he was the one who told the story about something sitting flat, and that's why I pack in Masonite, but I wrap the ends in yellow tape so that if on the off chance it's flat on a shelf somewhere, something's going to stand out from the corner, because that's clearly it's not even a half-inch thick. So next segment is I've got Mr. Scott Doonbeer in the green room, and he's ready to join us here. Scott, welcome to the channel. You haven't been on the Comic Art Live channel in a few years, man.
It's been a long time. How you doing, Bill?
I am doing really well. So, busy, like you. It's there's no rest for guys who have a lot of projects going on at any given time, and you're one of those guys. I know that. And congrats on all the the recent moves and business changes and everything. It's always fun. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, so this is kind of like getting back to your roots. I feel like for you.
I guess I was an art dealer, in the early 80s to the mid 90s. And then I became an editor, and I was at Wildstorm, and then I moved over to IDW, and then in April I decided to leave.
Yeah, well,
so back to my roots of being,
I don't know, making career changes, is never easy, and it's never easy the older you get. But you know what? When you have a lot of good people supporting you, I'm sure it makes those decisions a lot easier. You have a really great support network nearby.
Well, actually, the most important person who's supporting me is going to scream in a second, because I'm going to.
Oh no! Oh no!
My wife Amanda.
I see you're on Facebook with you all the time.
Yeah. No, she's my partner in my new venture, so she deserves all the shout outs.
Exactly, of course. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's it makes my wife has worked beside me the whole time we've been doing these things, and it makes things a lot easier. You have that confidence to have people around you that know what the goals are and are as committed to them as you are. So yeah, congrats to you, and obviously I'm looking forward to seeing all the cool things I know you've got planned to do. But today we're here to talk about something that is near and dear to your heart, the Hero Initiative. It's something that you've put together multiple years, the charity auction that benefits the Hero Initiative at Baltimore Comic-Con, and we have another one coming up. And so you've been wrangling artists for the past several months, working with Jim, and you've assembled a pretty decent amount of work, like you always do. I think when I sat in on that one with you after the pandemic, we had around, I think there was about 80 pieces in that auction. So I imagine
it wasn't quite that many. It felt like 80 because I was so slow in getting the auction done, but it was about 40. And
okay. Well, we're at least at 40 now. I know I've got about 40 scans to look at. So
there's actually, and I'm still waiting for a few more. There's a couple of guys who are, the drop dead deadline is tomorrow, because my wife and I and our kids are going on vacation. So we need to get everything scanned in by tomorrow, and then to the auction on the 21st. And we will have proxy bidding, which is the most important thing in being able to get a good price on the art. Because if we only sell the art at the show, it what those things are like, Bill. If you sell stuff there, it's not going to have the same impact as if you have it through an auction that's online. And since we're doing proxy bidding, the prices have definitely gone up, so everyone can put in proxy bids from tomorrow until the 16th of September.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we did that one together, that it seemed like 25-30% of the auctions were won by the proxy bids, and that's, I mean, it's it makes it healthy, especially when it's going towards a charity. That that at that point, because a lot of times collectors be like, oh, I don't want to be bidding against the people in the room, right? But in a case of charity, you got to do it a little bit differently. There's good art there, and allowing people to place proxy bids who can't make it, I think is clearly the right thing to do. And I just put a link in the chat so everybody can go over to the Hero Initiative's website, where there's a preview and there's proxy bidding information there. And I put a link in the mailing today. But we're going to look at some of the pieces that you've had sent in already. And I think you sent me a few scans here. Let me see if I can share that screen. But when do you kind of start this? Does it begin like right after the last Baltimore show, and you just spend the next 12 months, or do you just really wait till is it a shorter process for you?
I literally began right after the Baltimore show, because there were a couple of guys who didn't finish theirs in time. So they were the first phone calls I made, and they weren't the first ones to come in, though, which is kind of funny, but that's how it works. Sure. I this year was a little bit different, because I did start early, but then because I left IDW, it sort of threw a monkey wrench in it. I wound up, starting early, but then finishing late. But luckily, I think people are always so great who. Artists are very supportive of Hero Initiative. I mean, the great thing about Hero Initiative is that it's a real grassroots kind of thing. I mean, the amount of people that they help to, do necessary things, whether it's dental surgery or pay their mortgage, or anything.
Groceries. So, just providing a person to pick the creator up and take him to the store. I mean, Hero does a lot.
Jim McLaughlin did that for literally years with Russ Heath. The guy was in his 90s, and Jim would call up people, and I did it once myself. I went out, I took Russ out to lunch and bought him groceries from that. The Hero Initiative provided me with money to buy them, and then just had lunch with him, hung out with him. Because he was a very social guy. He needed that interaction, and quite frankly, most of his friends were dead at that point. And he didn't have a lot of people to hang out with. So the previous piece was Kevin Altieri doing a Batman Mr. Freeze painting. He was one of the He was one of the directors on the Batman animated series. And then the next one you just had is Chris Bichello doing Death, which he did a beautiful Death series, a Sandman related series that Neil Gaiman wrote. And then the one that you just showed is a new piece that Nick Bradshaw did a homage to Jack Kirby's classic Captain America Avengers #4 cover. And I love what he did with the box art up on
the corner box is awesome.
It looks fantastic. Yeah. And then after that, we have a Berkeley Breathed original strip from very early on. It's you can actually see my handwriting up here because I put together the complete Bloom County library. So I had most of the originals, and I wrote them. I wrote the dates on them in pencil because they were hard to figure out what they were. But that's Mike Blinky, who's one of the main early characters, and up on top is an original sketch by Berkeley of Opus.
That's great. And you get Zipatone on it too.
Yeah. Vampirilla by Danica Bryan. This is interesting. Eddie Campbell doesn't do a lot of drawing anymore. He mainly does stuff digitally. And so he did a series of 40 images from Hell, and this was one of them. And he sent this to me for the auction.
Oh, that's special. That's really nice. Let's see. Oh, Chadwick.
Yeah, and it's actually a vintage piece. He used to do these back in the 90s, and if you notice, it actually says 92 on the bottom. Right. So this is one of the ones he actually kept.
Wow. Amazing that he would have held on to it for over 30 years. That's great. Yeah. That's beautiful. Let's see here. Oh, Joe Chido. You can never. I've never owned anything by Joe, but boy, I marvel at his work. I mean, he's so talented. This is great.
Incredibly talented, and he generously gave a couple of paintings that are in this auction. This one, and then the next one is Poison Ivy. And these are all paintings on illustration board or on canvas board, and they're all pretty big. They're like 14 by 18.
Mm-hmm. So the pieces are at Baltimore. I know that you show them off. They always give you a good spot, near one like an end cap or something. So anybody who's at Baltimore, they can pay for these there. I think they probably pay Hero directly, right? Because I remember they'll have some staff there, and they're able to take the pieces with them in most cases.
Yeah, I mean, people can pay by credit card, by PayPal. They're actually accepting Zelle now at the show. So, all manner of things. You can also pay by check, but if you pay by check, then they'll mail you the art after. Unless if I know you, then, they'll make an exception. Well, if I know you and I give an okay.
And you want to put your neck on the line for them. I know how that goes, but that's good. So in most, I was assuming that, I mean, the artists have to send the art in, and are they sending it to you or do they send it to Hero, or how do you usually work that out, or do they just bring it with them at the show if they're going to be there?
Well, I'm the sort of central person in the auction. So people send me scans, and if there's enough time, they'll send me the original art. Sometimes they go directly to a hero rep in Virginia who lives there, who volunteers every year, named Shannon. And so this year there were probably like 7 or 8 or 9 pieces going directly to Shannon, and then a bunch of other pieces are coming in that will be delivered to me at Baltimore.
Great. Well, here's a nice
Eastman. This particular piece is kind of interesting. It's Kevin. It's Kevin Eastman doing. He's doing the 40th anniversary Usagi Yojimbo Turtles cover, and this is very similar to the one that was solicited, but it's a new version. He did sort of a what he describes it as is a painted study for the cover, and it's, you know, he actually said to me that some people have mentioned that it almost looked like a color guide because it's so close to the cover, but no, it's completely drawn from start to finish.
Well, I can see why they would say that, but still, no, that's great. Well, I mean, you know, Kevin keeps cranking out amazing pieces, and you know, with the anniversary, you know, the Turtles and everything.
And he's truly a nice guy.
Yep.
Speaking of guys, oh, I'm sorry, what were you going to say, Bill?
No. Well, I was just saying, I've never actually had the opportunity to talk to Kevin. You know, he's busy. He does have a calf gallery. I've tried to, you know, see about getting him on an interview show sometime. He's a guy who I'd love to talk to just because of his history in art collecting. You know, I mean, obviously his contributions to comics, everybody talks to him about that, but he was one of the first guys who was really all in on a lot of different creators, and I know his history in our hobby, and I'd like to just talk to him about that part of his time. But
he would be a great interview. You know, he really is. He really is. He loves to tell stories, and he tells them very well. Mm-hmm. Actually, what's kind of funny, Kevin's an old friend of mine. He actually, I won an Eisner this year at San Diego, and he actually presented it to me, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. Garcia Lopez, nice Batman. He's still cranking out, the hits. I mean, we had a piece from him in the auction at OAX this last year, and it did really well. A nice Superman piece, and so you hear this Batman piece is fantastic.
Jose is, you know, one of the most criminally underrated artists from the last 40 years.
Yeah, I agree. I admire his work a lot. So this is wonderful. And let's see what else we got here. Is this a published piece? Yeah, it is.
That is, there are some published pieces. This one is by Sanford Green, and it's from a book called The Red Hood, or Red Hood the Hill, and that character on the back is actually Killer Croc because it's a Batman spinoff title.
Nice. And
also, just a side point, Sanford, and he'll be at Baltimore. He did a lot of the art in the last Spider-Man animated, the Spider-Verse movie.
That is true. Yeah, he got a lot of good press from the work that he did there, and deservedly so. I've always liked Sanford's work, but yeah, this is
talented guy.
Yeah,
this is the one my wife wants to bid on.
And well, that's allowed. She'll be in the room, right?
Sure. So this one's interesting. This is actually a Zootopia cover that was rejected. And well, Gene Hod did this. He could have made the changes they wanted, but he decided that he would rather just not. And I don't know what the changes were, but Gene's such a talented and versatile comic artist.
He is. I was actually going back and looking through some top 10 work recently, and just marveling at how skilled he is. So this was a fun piece. Wow, this is Haberlin, yeah, and Brian's been around for a long time, but he just keeps on getting better and better and better. This is just lovely. Yeah, and it's noted in the file name 12 by 16 on this one.
Yeah,
that's great. Another redhead. Bo Hampton.
Yeah, Bo Hampton doing Medusa.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have a panel page by Jock. It's Green Arrow Year 1, Number 2, and it's where Oliver Queen sort of washes up on shore in the desert island, and it's part of the origin of the character.
Very nice. Is Jock going to be at Baltimore?
No, he won't.
That's too bad. Wow.
So Dave Johnson had intended to do a new piece, but he didn't have time. So he sent me this published cover from Dead Boy Detectives number 2. And, Dave is one of the preeminent cover artists in comics, always does great stuff. And then he sent along an extra that was a piece he lightboxed from a Jack Kirby pencil piece. So he lightboxed this, and it's big Barda. And, he just, that looks as good to me. And Pete, don't get mad at me for saying this, but that looks as good to me as, Mike Royer on, those great issues of Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, well, like Royer, he's being really true to the pencils here. So yeah, that's really nice. Oh, McManus, this is really, really good.
And it's gigantic. It's like 16 by 20. And Sean McManus, not only a great artist, but, my best friend. We used to live together a million years ago. And it's funny, when I called him up to do something, he always does something. I said, you've been doing all these great color Superman pieces and Batman pieces. Any chance you could do a color piece? And he went, oh, Jesus, I'll do anything for you, but that takes a long time. And then this showed up.
And this is what you got. I mean, yeah. Well, it took a long time, but he was willing to do it for you. That's fantastic.
He's, just a great artist. And he did a wonderful run on Sandman. Not a long run, but did like the Emperor of New York, I think, was one of them. A really good story. Sarah Meyer, who's been doing a lot of turtle stuff. She also did an original graphic novel recently that has been getting a lot of acclaim. Unfortunately, she won't be in Baltimore.
Mr. Mark Nelson. Yeah. Doggone, that's great.
I mean, if it wasn't for Walt Simonson, I would say he was the best alien artist ever. But, I'm biased. But this is a great piece. He doesn't draw a lot of alien stuff anymore, but he did one for this auction. Mm-hmm. And, you can't really get more out of an aliens piece.
No, that's really nice. I've had Mark on the channel before. He's brilliant. I mean, I just think he's an amazing talent. Anything he works on, he's great at world building. He wrote the book on it, right? At the end of the day.
Right.
So, this is wonderful. Oh, cool. That's nice too.
That's Dustin Nguyen doing a Venom piece. I didn't get a scan in time, so this is a photo he took, but neat.
Now, this was like a set of pieces that were donated by a collector, I think you had mentioned.
Yeah, this is a really unusual thing. There were three character designs, 3 pages of 6 character designs for X-Men villains, and they were in the X-Men when Carlos was doing it. This is from 1998, and a collector very generously wanted to see this go to Hero. And, Carlos, knowing Carlos, I'm sure he would have been very happy about that. He was a really, really good guy. And beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's nice to know a collector was contributing to the auction too. That's really great. Obviously, we lost Carlos too early. He had so much more art to contribute. Yeah. Perkins. We talk a lot about Perkins on the channel. He just keeps getting better and better.
he really has kind of taken a leap forward. And he's always been good, but he is getting better and better. And this particular, he did that First Night series. He's doing it now, and it's tremendous. To me, it's one of the best looking books of the year. He also, and this will be included in this lot, he sent a set of the first 3 issue cover prints, and so I haven't seen them yet, but they're in the mail.
Cool.
And that'll be included with the art.
And then you get a Peterson mouse guard. This is beautiful too.
You can't get a more iconic looking piece of mouse guard art than this. It's just beautiful. And this is one that, I'm thinking about bidding on. I mean, that would look so great in the frame. That would just look so beautiful.
It would. Yeah, I have one mouse guard page and a few of his just, spot illustrations, but I love his work. He's one of a kind. And this is a great piece to have in the auction. Oh, cool. A Powell.
Yeah, and this is full size. I mean, this is on 11 by 17 paper. So it's a big image.
Dang.
I just love the way the guy uses wash. Just beautiful.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I've always admired his style. I mean, it's has like throwbacks to EC, some of EC's best, but I mean, it's his own. Yeah, this is great. And like you said, if it's on 11 by 17, this is a pretty impressive image. Yeah, this is great too.
The great Steve Purcell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been trying for a million years to do an art book with him, and we're talking about it again now. We'll see if it ever happens, but I would love it.
I didn't notice the stop sign as a stake, but this is fun. This is so fun. Oh man! All right, and then you get a Frank Quitely. That's and bonus.
And he did it as a watercolor. I mean, pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's nice. It's a 10 by 14. Okay.
So Gabe Rodriguez, the artist of Lock and Key, just a great guy. He wanted to do a piece. He just didn't have time. And so he decided to send this, which is the cover to Max Batman #3. Actually, Batman Max #3, if we're going to be technical. And it was a variant cover, and it's just a beautiful piece of art. It's just a lovely piece by one of the best guys really working today, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not a consolation prize to get a nice published piece. I mean, that's really, really nice. Wow. Well, it just shows you, Hero is definitely an organization that the comic creators want to support.
Oh, sure.
They know good things that they're doing for creators of the past. So it's nice to see them contributing pieces of this caliber. And you have Don Rosa here too.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of new pieces, but he did one last year for me, and he did this. This is an image that's it's based on one of his most famous covers, and he said he gets a lot of requests to recreate it, which he doesn't really do anymore. But he did it for this, and he'll be at Baltimore, and he's always a fun guy to talk to. He's got great stories, and he doesn't hold back. Cool.
He's somebody I've actually never spoken with. Seen him at a ton of shows, but he always has a lot of people there. He is, you just never know, right? You think, it's ducks, right? But still, they're so popular.
But if you go to Europe, to the right place, he has Todd McFarlane lines. I mean, he's like incredibly popular in Northern Europe, Italy, other places, but he just has incredible lines. It's cool. But actually, are you coming to Baltimore?
I'm not. Sorry to say. Yeah, I've had a busy summer, and I've got to work for an OAX, and I'm going to be going to that IX show in PA in late October, because I haven't been to that one in a while. But other than that, I'm not even going to be going to New York this year. I have too many cool things to be working on, but I would like to. I mean, it's just, this year's not going to happen. If it did, I'd be asking how I can help you out at the auction night. I'd be volunteering I'll even carry the artwork.
And I would love to have you there. So
I'm washing my hair. No, I'm not, Marcus. But Stan Sakai, very nice piece here too.
The great Stan Sakai, just always very generous, always happy to donate something.
Oh man, Sammy's there's not enough. I mean, I love everything that Chris does, right? I mean, he doesn't do a bad doodle. He doesn't do a bad, wonderful, finished piece like this. I mean, he's just amazing. I want more artwork. I want more Chris Samney in the world. Artwork.
Well, it was funny. I was talking today with an artist who owes me a piece of art, and he swears I'm going to have it tomorrow, and it'll be at the very end, and that's Kevin Nolan. But we were talking about Chris and how great he is, and I mean, to me, he's eventually he's going to be up there with David Mazzucchelli. I mean, the guy is so damn good. I mean, he can't draw badly.
No, he can't, and it's I know it's like a curse. The thing is, I'm looking at it, and he just can't. I love his work so much, man. And he does those like eBay drops every once in a while, and they're all just so fun. Every piece. I mean, you can tell he's got so much creativity. He should just be doodling all day. And this is great. I'm so glad to see this piece in the auction.
And have you have you seen any of his work for the upcoming Batman and Robin Year One?
I have not. I've heard it's really good though.
Wow.
That's
it's great, and I would love to do an artist edition of that stuff. We just did an artist edition before I came out after I left IDW, and it was done before of his work on Black Widow, and just a beautiful, beautiful series, great art.
Well, somebody's gonna be happy when they get this one, and I hope it ends up on Comic Art Fans. Whoever wins this piece, please, man. Well,
all right.
Tell me about this.
This is a work in progress. It's being inked right now. Walter sent me this last night, and it is Odin, and on the sides are his sons Loki and Thor, and it's going to be killer. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see the finished piece on this. It's funny. My wife was looking at this when I got the scan last night, and she said, he puts a lot of work into these things. And I'm like, yeah, he does.
Yeah, no, this is this is pretty impressive. It'll buy a few groceries.
Yeah. When I get the inks, this will be updated on the Hero Initiative website, so you can see the inked version when you place your bids. And actually, I know we're a little pressed for time, but there's a funny story. Last year, Walter's piece, it holds the record of any piece in the Hero Initiative auctions I've done. It went for 20 grand.
Yep.
And we got to the point where it was at 19. Really serious back and forth bidding. And this one guy bid 19, and Walter was actually there walking it around. And it got to 19, and I said to the crowd, I said, come on, one more bid, $20,000. You'll get a standing ovation. You'll be a hero. And paddle went up, and it was the guy who bid 19.
Wow.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
No, definitely. I mean, it's going to a good cause, and yeah, I'm sure Simonson was a bit humbled. I remember seeing the photographs from that moment too. So no, this is gonna, you know what this thing's worth. So yeah. Too bad we can't live stream it. It's got 1 year. 1 year we'll be able to do something like that.
We got to do it. We got to do it.
So we have Paul Smith.
Yeah, Black Knight.
Very nice. That's actually a very cool concept piece there. I like that.
Yeah. He's another guy who's always willing to do something for the auction. Very generous guy.
I know you actually saw him like 6 months ago or somewhere around in there.
About a year ago, scanned a bunch of artwork, and the Paul Smith X-Men Artist Edition will be coming out sometime later this year.
Mm-hmm.
That was the second to last book I finished at IDW.
Well, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm a huge Paul Smith X-Men fan, so. I
did hear a rumor that a new company might be doing a Doctor Strange Artist Edition of Paul's work.
Oh, wow. I mean, he did incredible work on Doctor Strange as well, obviously. That would be cool. There's a lot of interesting things going on in publishing these days. I mean, and that's just a good thing. I think at the end of the day, for all of us who love to see the work, it's an interesting time. Especially, it's not originals, but we as collectors like to have them because we can't own everything. So it's so nice to be able to see this stuff in the way that you want to see it. But so this is a Defenders piece on 11 by 17.
It's Defenders. It was penciled by Philip Tan and inked by Rich Friend.
Very nice.
Rich, who was the inker on Travis Charest on his Wildcats run.
So
the later Wildcats, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we have a Bruce Timm.
Bruce Timm, who co-created this character, and he does not usually donate to auctions, but I think he got tired of me bugging him so much and sending him texts saying, "Hey Bruce, are you going to do it? You going to do it?" And then he did. So thank you, Bruce. So this is an interesting thing. This is actually a page that's painted by J.K. Woodward and penciled by Herb Trimpe. J.K. is always really generous. He's done a bunch of original paintings for the auctions in the past. He just didn't have time this year, but he wanted to send something, and he thought a Herb Trimpe page that was penciled and that he painted over, people might be interested in.
Well, Trimpe's pretty hot these days. At the end of the day, I think he's finally getting recognized for his immense contributions to comics, not just the Hulk, everybody to think about, or Wolverine or whatnot. But he, I'm hard pressed to get a Trimpe piece that I can afford these days, which is a good thing. Billy Tucci, she piece, 11 by 17.
Yeah. It's Billy's a great guy and loves to do stuff for good causes. So hats off to him.
Wow. This is really nice.
Yeah, this is an interesting piece. It's Rick did some turtle stories back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And he did 5 or 6 stories. One of them was a 3-issue arc featuring this character that he created called The River. And these 3 issues for this story arc were printed once in a trade paperback 35 years ago. It has never been printed since then. And that's because the characters or the stories that Rick did were copyrighted to him. So I mean, he can't publish them, and IDW or Paramount can't publish them either unless they can agree to come to some terms. I've actually sort of tried to help Rick get an arrangement between IDW and himself to finish this or to publish these again. And hopefully that'll happen, but you can never tell. But this is like one of those things. This is kind of like the holy grail of Turtles lore, because these stories have not been reprinted at all, and except for 35 years ago. And Rick again is very generous and did this beautiful piece for the auction.
Rick Welch knows a good piece when he sees one, so he says it's a killer piece. I agree. And you got a Lee Weeks Daredevil. Lee Weeks is another guy who can do no wrong. I mean, amazing. I just feel like, he never. There's never a stinker in his portfolio, or in his sketchbook. The guy just seems to. He's got such an easy style to like, and it just like everything he does, I love.
He's one of those guys who just gets better with age. It's making the rest of us look bad. The guy is just so goddamn talented.
Yeah. Wow. Another good one. And then where are we going here? Alan Weiss. Okay.
Alan Weiss is a huge fan of Captain America and Captain Marvel Jr. He did some stories with them a million years ago, and he wanted to do this. This was actually the piece I was talking about earlier that didn't make last year's auction, but he then finished it up. And this is a page from Star Wars Episode 3 by the great Doug Wheatley.
Wow, great likenesses in this.
He's a tremendous artist. He's a guy who a lot of people don't really know his work because, a lot of people go on social media, they'll go on Instagram and promote the hell out of their work. And, that's fine. But Doug just doesn't like to do that. He doesn't like to draw attention to himself. And it's a shame because, look at this work. The guy's so good. He's been doing actually Game of Thrones illustrations for a little while now too. Just beautiful stuff.
Wow. Yeah, that's really nice.
And actually, speaking of Star Wars, it didn't make it in time for the. It didn't make it in time for this preview, but tomorrow you'll be seeing Chris Sprouse Star Wars cover also in the auction.
Wow, an embarrassment of riches at the Hero auction in Baltimore. That's great. I love Chris is another guy whose work I've always loved. This is nice. See, I didn't get to go through all these. I'm seeing these for the first time too. This is wonderful, man.
It's great. Bill Ray is he worked on the Ren and Stimpy show. He directed a number of episodes. He's done a lot in animation. He's also a fine artist. And he is obviously a big Wally Wood fan, and he signed that William Wood. This is a tribute to Flash Gordon, the Flash Gordon parody from Mad Number 11 by Wally Wood. And, he just nailed it. He just nailed it. Bill is one of those guys who I think, people don't really realize how good he is. And then, as usual, if you look at the next piece and the final piece in this presentation, he did a color print, G Clay. You can't see it here, but it's signed and actually numbered. He did an edition of 5, and so this is number 2 of 5, and it'll be available also at Hero in a separate lot. And look at all this great stuff he did here, mimicking the look of the dot pattern in the back. Just gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, that is amazing. And he's collected a few things in his day as well. As far as artists collecting work. Well, that's a good set. And like you said, we still have over a week before the auction, so you've got a few other pieces that are coming in, and that link that I posted in the chat and that went out in the mailing today, over to the Hero Initiative auction. Anybody can continue to check that out to see any new pieces that are going to be posted, and get, place their proxy bids. I assume it's not having done it, I didn't go through anything there, but I assume it's a fairly straightforward process to do that.
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's got to be simple. I mean, at the end of the day, it was handled very well, if I recall. I think that you had a couple proxy bidders on the floor. It seemed really fair and well done and impartial, which was nice. It felt like the people who were doing that were completely unattached to you during that. So it's going to be all above board and done properly.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to rip people off. Well, some people do, but Hero is truly an organization that just is the most above board, but just also they do such great work. And it's important that when these are sold, that people can trust that there won't be any shenanigans. There won't be any problems with people, bidding people up or anything like that. It's, it's the kind of auction that, well, if I were running an auction, this is how I would want to do it. But
exactly. You just get to curate it in large part. But no, this is great, Scott. Obviously, I fully support the Hero initiative. I have for a long time, and I'm glad that you do as well. And I think that this auction is one of the highlights of the year for Hero. It has to be. I mean, they get a small publishing project here or there throughout the year, but this is one that draws a lot of attention to them. So I'm glad that you've kind of taken this thing over and you really made it into a successful charity event for them.
It's such a good cause. Like I said, it's just it tends to be it tends to be more work than I really should take on. My wife is telling me I shouldn't do one next year. I should take a year off. But I said, no, I think I'm going to have to do another one. It's while it is a lot of work, it's also very gratifying, and also it's just fun. Mm-hmm. It's to get the art in and to see it, and then I have a good time auctioning the crap off myself. So mm-hmm. Not crap, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I didn't have to do a whole lot when I was there the last time.
Because I just did so much, right?
No, I can tell you're having a good time with it. But and it keeps you in touch with a lot of the creators, which is always a good thing too. So there's lots of benefits to doing that. So I appreciate it. I know that Jim and everybody at Hero does too, and the art collectors who end up benefiting at the end of the whole process are glad that you get these works out there too, because a lot of them are created just for the event. And anytime you're putting together something like this where you're getting new, really nice works of art created, that might not have gotten created for any other reason, is a good thing.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say is if people who are watching this find yourselves at a show, a lot of comic book writers and artists and colorists will put out a tip jar for Hero Initiative. Like if you go up and you get a bunch of books signed by Walter Simonson, he doesn't charge for signatures, but he does ask people to donate something to Hero. And, if it's $5, maybe put in 10 or 20 because it is for such a good cause.
Yeah, I agree. So Scott, thank you as always, and enjoy your trip. You're going on a little R&R, which is a good thing. But best of luck at the auction, and obviously I follow you socially, so I'll be able to see how this thing all pans out. I can't wait to see the Simonson finished piece. That's maybe I'll put a thrill proxy bid in there just to feel like I contributed.
Go ahead, that'd be great.
I will. Now that you said it, I'm going to do it. So, all right. Well, listen, again, thank you for doing this. And again, any way that I can further promote this in the lead up to it, I'm sure Jim will hit me up with some PR here and there. But anything I can do as well, just let me know.
Thanks, Bill. I really appreciate that. Anyway, great seeing you, man.
Likewise, Scott. Take care of yourself. All right, there you go. That was I had a really good time getting to see the art and just seeing Scott run the whole show a couple of years ago. Again, it's for a good cause, and for those of you who get to go to Baltimore, it's a fun event. Definitely one that I would encourage everybody to attend if you're going to be going to Baltimore this year. And I know a lot of collectors who are. I saw Stingray said he was going. I know there's numerous other ones. I got invited to a couple dinners, as a matter of fact, from people who were hoping that I was going to go. So I know there are a lot of collectors that hit that show. So where do we got to go from here? I might as well just hit the schedule right now. I haven't added a whole bunch of things to it, but maybe made a few modifications to it. As everybody saw, I had to do a show at 7:30 today with Joe Manarino for the Heritage Preview. That was originally scheduled for next Tuesday. So I actually have an open slot in the schedule. That would have been the 250th episode. So I'm not sure what I want to do there. I may try to kind of cook something up and have a show that night, because it's Tuesday night. We always have a show on Tuesday night. So whatever that show ends up being, it will be the 250th official 250th episode. Obviously, we're actually approaching close to 1,000 different streams that have been on the YouTube channel. Most of them live. A few of them, are the posted videos where we might have a Page I Love segment or whatnot. But there's quite a few episodes that really didn't get counted towards that number. But 250, it's a nice number. I'll cook something up for that show one way or another. I think I'll put some thought to it tomorrow. Maybe I'll talk with Kazra. We'll come up with a fun idea. We haven't done a collector conversation in a while. Maybe I'll try to wrangle something together with some friends. We'll see how that might turn out. I've got a show next weekend with Japan Comic Art. That's going to be an art sale. It'll be at 9 p.m. on Saturday. What else have I added in here? We got Newell, Mr. Stingray himself. How do I got those dates still wrong on there? Man, I am messing things up. I have to update that. Man, how did I do it again? But we did add a new one. We did add Tariq, a.k.a. TAAMD1 in the chat. You know him. You love him. He'll be with us on November 19th. So yeah, that's a new one. And anything else in there really? No, I mean, Jiggy's going to be on. And yeah, with the 10th Comic Art Live, man, that's a month and 2 months away. Man, time is flying. We have got a lot of work to do on the next Comic Art Live. That's coming a little bit too fast. So, boy, that's kind of messy. So just so everybody knows, Newell, Mr. Stingray, is on the 24th of September. So that's the typo on there. Royce is on the 1st of October and Jiggy is on the 8th. So there you have that, right? Very good. Now, a couple things I wanted to plug before I get into a few other things. Is Von Hawk available? I don't know. Yeah, I know it's wrong, Stingray. I'm sorry, man. I've got some work to get. Typos are my thing, it seems, right? I probably had some in the yeah, it is going to be right after Baltimore. I probably had some in the mailing that went out today. Von Hawk is always available. Believe it or not, I actually have one person at least a week email me asking for her contact info. So she's definitely getting a lot more work, and we haven't specifically come up with something for her at OAX, but I can guarantee you that Alexandra will be at OAX next January, and most likely it's going to be on Sunday. We'll have some kind of a panel for her to talk about conservation, restoration, all those sorts of things. So anybody that's going to go to OAX will get to meet Alexandra in person. And yes, and that's right. James had that one piece flattened. Remember, it had water damage and a few other things wrong with it, and he took care of it. We may need to get her a private car. We might actually have to pay for her to have a room so we know where she is on Saturday night, so she'll be there on Sunday. But we love her, and we'll work something like that out. Do we need to get her a driver, or was she? Well, I just need to make sure she has the right address, Jeff. That was all on me last year, unfortunately, because I didn't communicate everything well enough with her like I should have. But yeah, she'll be with us next year on Sunday. So a couple things I wanted to mention. As everybody knows, Carl Troy has that Zero Ghost Kickstarter. I know it ends really soon. It's I can throw a link to it. When is it? It's got 38 hours to go. So I guess that means it ends on Saturday or something. But I've got the link, posted that in the chat. He's got a bunch of art awards. I know I have a link to his CAF gallery because I think he put a lot of the art awards even up on CAF, so people were aware of what those were. So I'm putting that link in the chat as well. Stingray, yeah, it's 2 more days. And what do I got here? I know I put some slides together because the art awards, there's a 6x9 sketch from Brian Ching. I love Brian's work. And I think everybody remembers I got that Cyclops sketch from Brian as a thank you for doing some PR for them earlier. And then I think it's like, there's like 6 or 7 tiers maybe with art. Here's another one. There's a cover quality commission from Brian that I think has a few more spaces left. I think they might have made 5 available, and I think 3 were already taken. So that one is ending in 2 days. Another guy, so I don't remember their name, and I do have the link. There was, everybody knows I love elementals. I don't know a whole lot about the elementals project that's being done. It's they just kicked it off a couple days ago, but I think I got a tab here somewhere with a link. Yeah, I do. I can copy this. They're just basically going to be doing some interviews with Bill Willingham and a few other creators and getting some artwork that hasn't been seen into a small book. And they asked me for the cover that I have from Elementals, and that's going to be a part of the project. So, hey, anything that has Elementals in it is a good thing. So you can definitely check that out. I think they're halfway to their goal, which was very modest, like $3,500. I don't think they really had. Maybe they did. No, they did have some art rewards, but they weren't anything from like Bill Willingham or anything like that. But I don't know. I guess I'll get a contributor copy since I put some art in it. Yeah, it's not. It definitely something like that needs to be done. I love the Elementals. So outside of that, we can kind of get into some other stuff here. I've got these packages to open, but I think first, because I've been streaming for the last 3 hours, and you know what that means. I think I need to either get another Zevia or make a bathroom run. I'm going to play a page I love. Kevin Sharp has delivered again. I think he still has like 4 other ones in the queue for me, but this one's actually, it's funny. It's long, but it kind of goes really quick because I really enjoyed listening to it. And this is from Fabian Nicieza. I'm probably messing that up. It's going to be posted in its entirety tomorrow because I think it's like 15 minutes long, and I had to cap this one at 9 at kind of like the right moment. But it's fun. Fabian's he's got an interesting take. I mean, obviously comic creator and both writer and artist, and he's talking about a piece of art from Barry Windsor Smith. So this is well, not complete. I think you'll enjoy it. And then when we come back, I'll bring in Mr. Snork. We'll open up these some packages. We'll talk a little bit more, and we'll do the CAF update in its entirety. So here, page I love. Thank you, Kevin Sharp.
Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Sharp, and welcome to another episode of A Page I Love. Today, I'm joined by writer Fabian Nicieza. Fabian, welcome to Comic Art Live, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kevin. Thanks.
We're going back into the Bronze Age to talk about Barry Smith's Conan. Could you tell the viewers, before we dive into the page that you chose, were you a Conan kid? Where would this issue or this character have come into your reading life?
I saw Conan on a newsstand, and I believe the first issue I got was issue number 6. So that was really early in its run. I believe it was bi-monthly at that point. I was not that familiar with the character at all, but I think in the back of my head I'd seen some of the paperbacks on the store shelves because the Frank Frazetta cover reprints were coming out at that time of the original 30s Robert E. Howard stories. To me, it was because Roy Thomas was writing it, and I was a regular reader of Avengers. And Barry Windsor Smith's art was really eye-catching, and I just was fascinated by the way the whole thing looked. I do remember my brother was frustrated with me for getting it. We didn't get a lot of comics back then, just what our allowance would give us the opportunity for, because we also had to balance, baseball cards and candy and movie tickets and movie theater tickets and all the important stuff that you had to deal with at 10 years old. I'd spin the racks and I'd find things that intrigued me. It's how I discovered Dave Cockrum's work on Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, way before he even came over to Avengers and X-Men work at Marvel. It's how I discovered Jim Starlin's Captain Marvel. Even as a college student, it's how I discovered Frank Miller's Daredevil. So I always was a flipper. Just, oh, that's interesting, you know? And it just interested me. It was something different. I never followed it every month because it was hard to get at the newsstand on a bi-monthly schedule. I started getting it regularly, probably around issue 14 or 15. I think 14, because that's what I have down in my basement. I still have the original issues in my basement. So I know I have 14 all the way through like 43. So through the Barry Smith into John Buscema transition. So I have the original issue that we're talking about this page from in my comics downstairs in the basement.
We're going to actually look at two different versions of this page, and we're going to start with the original. So this is from Conan number 20. When I think of Conan, I imagine a lot of people, if you just say that character, I think of, you know, women and monsters and carnage and glistening muscles. And this page almost gives me more of a Prince Valiant vibe,
yes,
as far as
much. Yeah.
Storytelling. So tell us about, what was it that of all the Barry Smith choices from this character and this title, how did you land on this one?
I just remember a few seminal moments as a reader when I was a kid, and I wasn't even 11 yet when this issue came out. I was a month away from turning 11, and there are a few moments as a kid that kind of marked a difference in understanding what the potential of the medium could be. Maybe not verbalizing it that way, obviously, but just having a gut feeling that stories can affect you. Stories can create emotional responses in you. My very first time feeling that was when Captain Stacy died in Amazing Spider-Man 91, and I think I was like 9 years old, and I just remember being stunned by that as a kid reading the comic, never believing as I turned the page that he was actually going to die. You know, it'll be fine. Just pull some of the rubble off him, just dust him off. He'll be okay. And when he actually died, it just changed my perspective on what a comic book story can do, and the emotions it can generate in you. To the best of my recollection, this was the second moment in my life when that happened. This page was the culmination of a running subplot, two running subplots. One was Conan's friendship with a character named Fafnir. It was a big, burly, red-bearded, red-headed guy. Also, Conan had a simmering problem with the commander of the army who he was following, the character on the page, and this brings it to a head. The subplot, in essence, is Fafnir got wounded while they were storming a castle. It was a flaming arrow that hit him in the arm. He fell into the water. He was rescued from the sea. Conan didn't know any of this because he was involved in another engagement at the time, fighting wise. When he got brought back to the boat, when Conan made his way back to the boat, he saw that Fafnir was wounded, and among the wounded, and he had lost his arm. Which that also was a bit of a wow, you know, as a kid. The character lost his arm from the wound, you know, because it had gotten infected from the dirty water that he fell into. At this point here in the story, at the top of the page, Conan's swimming back to the boat because he accomplished the mission or barely survived the mission on the mainland, and he gets back to the boat, and he finds out that all of the wounded were thrown overboard, whether they were actually dead or not. And that includes his friend Fafnir, who's now dead. What amazed me about this page, not only Barry's art, but the methodology of conveying the story narrative. This is Prince Valiant, which I didn't know at the time. I didn't realize at the time. To choose one page to turn into a collage of images with heavy scroll handwritten text on it, again, a little different than what you normally saw in a comic. It stood out immediately. So the weight of the story moment, the weight of the art, the weight of the writing is actually also mirrored by the composition and difference that the page offers you from what your mainstream regular comic book reading looks like, right? So again, all of these things kind of converge to create that emotion in you. The look on Conan's face in the third collage image is one of the best facial expressions I'd seen to date in a comic book. Almost always the most excellent facial expressions were incredible snarls and yells from Neil Adams or Jack Kirby, beautiful smiles and glowing eyes from John Romita. Those are the things that always struck out. The beauty and clean line work of Dave Cockrum, where teenage boys and girls all looked like Adonis hunks, and gorgeous beach girls, This was a subtle facial expression on an exhausted guy who's finding out his friend is dead. And you can see it in the image. You just see the weight of the surprise, the disappointment, the pain in Conan's face just from that one little facial expression. And Barry Windsor-Smith was like a bit of a glutton for detail, which was something he developed and evolved into as this series was going along. And you saw it on the printed page. All of a sudden, Sal Buscema really shouldn't be inking him because Sal's line work was a little thicker and a little sort of bolder, and Barry's pencils clearly were starting to need a softer touch. So Dan Adkins started inking them. I think Barry might have inked this issue himself. If I don't remember offhand. It looks like his inking on it. And look at the detail in the hair. Look at not only in Conan's hair, look at the detail in the hair of the guy whose back is to us. You know what I mean? Like all of that stuff just really caught my eye. Later on is when I realized that Hal Foster on Prince Valiant had basically done this methodology of storytelling all the time. But I didn't read Prince Valiant because, quite frankly, it was boring to me as a kid. Even the coloring on this page is very different than what you see in normal coloring. I think Barry colored this issue himself. The amount of white highlights that are used, the skin shading being a completely unexpected skin tone color, all of it is this muted, soft palette, which doesn't really take away from the images. It actually adds to the images because they play so perfectly over the stark white background, and they play so perfectly with the hand lettered, script lettering. I just wasn't expecting it. Now those kinds of things tend to stick with you, especially when it becomes your profession, it becomes your career.
So there you go. It ends there, but immediately right after that, they show a recolored version of that appeared in I believe it was an IDW reprint from that book, and just the color is taking a very different approach. So Fabian talks a bit about that, and Kevin, and he kind of dissected a little bit, but it was a really good one. And so I'll post it all tomorrow. And I don't know what was going on with the image in the first one there, but I will definitely make sure that the full version, when it posts tomorrow, will have the image in that first segment. So I will guarantee we'll fix that. So Mr. Snork is in the green room, ready and raring to go. I don't know how many drinks he's had so far today, but we'll find out. 2. He's had 2.
Just a couple high lifes at dinner. No big deal.
All right. I didn't get any pings from the app, so I wasn't sure, if you were starting out.
I don't check High Life in because that makes me feel like a real alcoholic.
Oh man. Well, it's nice to see you again. We've another week gone by. What'd you think about that story? I mean, I had to ship that big piece of art to you, and then you got to hear Mark's story. Isn't that crazy? I mean, that's we all sweat, those types of situations. And I remember, I know that piece went for over 10, I think, and because most of Apollo's stuff does anyway, and that was a really beautiful piece. But to lose something like that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But Mark,
it's happened to me. I lost like $5,000 once in the mail, never to be seen again.
That sucks. Yeah. How does Mark get so lucky? He's had 2 pieces now that have gone
AWOL
for a year, and he's still got them back. Yeah. He's lucky, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And it was funny because he would remember when it happened. I called him up right away. I'm like, hey, a couple of collectors would love to have you come on and talk about it. And he was like, I just can't do it. I can't talk about it. He was gutted.
I can't talk about it.
Then when I saw the art get posted at the CAF again, saying it was up, I'm like, dude, we can do it now. There's a success story here. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Just the whole the topic of insurance, because I'm sure I think we all wrestle with it. I haven't done it yet as far as for my own personal collection. I certainly should. I mean, shoot.
I got a quote last year. After OAX, coincidentally, I came home and Becky said to me, "Don't you think we should we'd been doing it on a rider on our homeowner's insurance for a long time, and it got to a point where our insurance agent was like, the rider just is not going to cover this anymore. He was like, you need to get specific insurance for this."
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it, and it was shocking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid to do it. That's the same thing. I think you're when I talked to the insurance agent, because down here in Florida, the company that we got when we first moved down, they like State Farm, they left, and so I had to go through a whole new process of talking to people. And the two companies I spoke with, they were all the same thing. It's like, yeah, we'll only insure up to about 10,000 by default, and and then they asked me kind of like, what's the ballpark value of your collection or art that you keep in your office, and I gave them the number. And they're like, "Oh, well, you can't even cover that on a rider. You're going to have to. We could help you find something, but yeah, you're out of luck." So nothing ever happens in Florida, so no insurance is needed. Yeah, if only that were the case. So anyway, but I saw that the thing I shipped to you arrived. Nice.
It did. It's right. It's right. Wow, where is it? Oh, right there. Yes. I haven't found a place to put it yet because it's so big,
huge, isn't it? Oh man, I've only got like a dozen of those, because most of the time, they were a little bit smaller than that. But that super large one, you still worry about it, even though the masonite feels pretty strong. Somebody could throw something on top of it and potentially.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I've seen. So part of my job used to be logistics, and you see the most hellish things where it's something was obviously run over with a forklift. It was obviously like dropped out of a truck onto the ground. I mean, like anything can happen.
Yeah. I put enough fragile or handle with care stickers on it though, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
I was like, Chris is going to like this.
The funniest part was when the mail carrier brought it up. It looked like she was carrying like a sail. It was windy and she kept going like this.
Oh man. Yes. That is good. Yeah, and I said Stingray's got his DPS in the mail. It's not quite as large as that one, but yeah. Anyway, so that's cool. I'm but again, I held my breath. I shipped 2 packages out on Wednesday for some oversized art from the hitch sale, and yeah, I'm nervous as hell about it, both of them.
Yeah, so. I think I know I'd said this before, but so the hitch is the same size as the Frank Cho FF cover that I have.
Oh, okay.
And he shipped that rolled.
He did. And was it fine when you got it? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw the tube and I was like, oh my God, no. And I opened it up and like it just laid flat right away and like everything was hunky dory. So maybe for those big ones, that's an option.
I'll have to think about that, because I know I would feel better, because they make those super heavy duty shipping.
Yeah. Oh, this thing was like a baseball bat.
Yeah, Kazra bought one for something that we had to ship after OAX, and it arrived fine. So yeah, I don't know. I may have to consider that. But here, I got some stuff to open up, and I pre-opened it while that thing was playing, because I know sometimes how it is getting through this stuff. But what did I get? This is from West Coast.
We get to see that Sienkiewicz.
We are going to see that. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So first up, this was something that when I had West Coast Avengers on, he said he'd ship me. I think this is the that Kirby book that he put together, which I thought was kind of cool, just because he likes Kirby and he made his own little book for it. Yeah, let's see here. Yes, the many faces of Jack Kirby. So it's a lot of like close-ups and characters that he's worked on. I won't go through it, but thank you, Dave, for sending this to me. I hope Dave signed it. I don't think he did. Maybe on the inside, but thank you, Dave. Can't wait to look at that. I appreciate it. Next up, I pre-opened, but I have not totally looked at it. This is the piece that I got from Anthony. Now, this isn't what I got from him last week, where everybody was wondering what I was going to buy from Anthony. But this is the piece from before that. The there's this extra cut on here. There we go. Yes. Now it's the Cosmic Odyssey page.
Oh my God, you got one.
I got one now. This can go on the back wall. It feels like he threw some other stuff in here.
You should get one of those really tasteful, like bronze plaques for the bottom of the frame that says the last Cosmic Odyssey page.
Yeah, I definitely should. So this is what Cosmic Odyssey 4. I mean, hey, you could almost call it a title page. It is page 1. There's no creator information on it though. There's a comic or something in there.
Mike
did sign it. But there you go. I got one finally.
Awesome.
After almost almost 4 years of doing Dueling Dealers, I finally have my own Cosmic Odyssey page.
Is that your first Mignola?
No, I have a Rocket Raccoon page.
Okay.
And do I have a No, I don't have a Hellboy sketch. I used to have one. So yeah. So not my first. And I have had I used to have one of those classic X-Men covers.
That's my God, Bill.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's like a dagger in my ass cheek.
I know. Just think what those things are worth now. And I probably got rid of it for like $3,000. I might have paid $1,500 for it. So I thought I was doing all right. That's worth 10 times that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I opened up I've never gotten anything from Heritage before, and the box was a thick package, Marcus.
Yep.
And so you got the Chaykin recently, so you know what it's like. I'm just kind of surprised. There's literally like a dozen layers of cardboard here.
I kept them all. I was like, I'll use them.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm assuming it's going to be in the center, so I'm not going to cut anywhere near there. But I can thank Kazra Gambari for encouraging me to
heckling you.
He didn't heckle me. He made it sound like he's like, Bill, you just want it. What do you wait? I'm like, but I kept him on about it, and he's like, come on, just grow a pair and take care of this. So yeah, it was interesting. I was in Hawaii when the auction closed, right? I think it was. And so I waited. I didn't want to pay for it until I got home because I didn't know how fast Heritage shipped, right? And so I waited about 10 days, and I think they might have sent me a closing auction email, and then nothing. There was no like, hey, you need to pay. And then I think the day I got home from Hawaii, I got one of the, hey, it's been 10 days. This is where we want to get something, some kind of a message from you that you're still there and you're going to pay for this. So.
I had the opposite experience, which was I got an email the following day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it closed on Sunday, and I get an email on Monday saying like, hey, everything's finalized. You can pay us. And so I paid right away. And then I think I waited 2 weeks before they even put it in the mail.
That was that happened to me too. Like they printed the label, and it wasn't until like 7 or 8 days later before it was actually received anywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, maybe they treat signature auctions differently, than the weekly ones.
Maybe.
But all right, I got it. I'm taking this one out of the Mylar because it's cool. And I did see they had another page from the same story in the weekly auction. I don't know if it's this one or was the last one. So clearly somebody was letting go of their pages. And it's double bagged. See, I should pre-screen these things. All right, there we go. Yeah. Okay,
you lose the the real unboxing feel if you do it too far ahead, though.
That is true. I'm wisening up here. I'll just go full screen.
Yeah.
There we go. So.
Oh yeah.
Very
launches.
Nice. Yeah, that was when I was talking with Kazra about it. I'm like, I always remembered that chick's rear end. I was like 16 or whatever. And he's like, Phil, that's like the most human thing you've ever said to me. He goes, I think that was the tipping point. Now you have to buy it, Bill. You brought it down to a human level of remembering that, chick's rear end.
Chick's butt, yeah.
Exactly. How many chicks' butts had Bill Sienkiewicz seen leading up to the moment for him to draw this page?
That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I love this. And again, this is the page that I've talked about, 3 or 4 times in the last 4+ years on the channel. That I always remember this page partly because of the chick's rear end, but I was just shocked to see it.
You'd be seeing Moon Knight's rear end too if it weren't for that cape.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's almost squatting on his own crescent dagger there. He was inches away from eviscerating himself in the wrong way. So, anyways, this is fantastic. I couldn't be happier.
It's a beauty.
Yeah, I don't need well, outside of could I use another Sienkiewicz? I could use Indian Mutants.
Sure.
Sienkiewicz without question. So
yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That's my art day. I'm so happy.
I love it.
You got to put this. Okay, I've got to put this in a safer spot over there.
Yes. Where it's not going to get ZV on it.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, cool. Thank you for everybody for letting me. I shouldn't have bought that page. This guy's right. That's where he goes me into it. The page. Okay, I see. I was watching the page that haunched $1,000. Yeah, $4,000 in fact. All right. Cool. Yeah. Now flip it before the insurance is denied. Yeah, Marcus. All right. Well, let's keep this thing rolling here. We can get it. We should just dive into what do we got to dive into? I've got the EXP preview. What time is it? Do I have time? It's 10:50. I'm not going to go over the heritage stuff. I hate to say it. Sorry, Mr. Halperin and everybody over here. We did the hero preview at 7:30 today, but I actually didn't preload all those 10 lots. But if anybody goes over and reads my show recap, I've got all the 10 pieces in there. They were in the mailing that went out today.
Yeah.
It was funny again. A lot of it was dominated by a lot of strip art again. Just nothing. Really nothing tremendous. But the funny thing is, the highest priced item was another one of those dinosaur trading cards. It was like at $2,500, and it was two dinosaurs pushing the Leaning Tower of Pisa over.
Oh my God.
It was $2,500.
You have to wonder if it's like one guy.
It's got to be
two guys. It can't
guys.
be one guy. Yeah, it can't be one guy.
It's two guys that have an affinity for that. And if you're in the chat, I have nothing against it. It's just
no. I'd like to hear more.
I would too, because I remember I picked the first time I saw one of those. Like the policemen were shooting at that dinosaur on the street. I thought it was pretty cool. But now it's like 2 weeks in a row. In one day, that's the leading sales item. Now I know it's not the highest price one because it's not making it into our reports, but still very interesting. Very passionate collectors for that trading card set. All right, man, let me scratch a couple things off my list here. Okay, so what is that, Jeff? Okay, the weekly auction was wonky again.
We do have an archaeologist, so
yes, exactly. All right, so not doing heritage. We can do the Nick Barucci preview for tomorrow. I did load that thing up. Yeah, so it's EXP tomorrow, 7:00. Mr. Nick Barucci showing off artwork. And
everybody, this Friday, September 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, on the Original Art Experience, we're gonna have original art. Listen, we killed the last video because I try to be funny, and when you try and be funny, you're not funny. So other people are funny. I try, I fail. Let's get into it though. Green Arrow 87 double page spread by Jim Apparel. Look at how beautiful this is. Brave and the Bold 133, another Jim Apparel page, and this one with Deadman and Batman. Really gorgeous. You always gotta love the Jim Apparel faces. God, they are awesome. Then we have Avengers vs. X-Men by Lionel Francis Yu, featuring Spidey-Man. Then we have Cull, The Shadow Kingdom by Will Conrad. Then we have a lot of Dynamite covers. So we have Space Ghost, check it out, number 5. Space Ghost number 4, and of course I go out of order. Then we have this great Betty Page cover by Anthony Marquez, who is the person who owns and runs the Kubert School. Then, this is something we've never done. We have Lords of the Jungle, Tarzan and Sheena. 6 covers for the 6-issue limited series by Roberto Castro. We have never offered an entire miniseries or series that encapsulated all the covers as one package to claim. We will have that this Friday. So if you've ever wanted 6 covers or multiple covers, doesn't need to be 6, it could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 7, it could be 8. I can drag this out as long as I want, and then you'll lose interest. So we'll stop right there. But you can have the entire series of covers by Roberto Castro. This will be available Friday. It'll be cool. And don't forget, we allow for payments if people need time. So Friday, September 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Hit that thumbs up. Sharing is caring. See you Friday, and we will have more art.
Wow, that ended quick. You'll have more stuff, I promise you. Definitely. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock on the EXP channel. Those were some nice covers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm not familiar with Mr. Castro, but I will become so.
True. And I thought, Will Conrad, that's not a name we mentioned.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Will Conrad's artwork. So yeah, looking forward to the show tomorrow. I might, because I don't have a show to prep for on Saturday, I might actually tune in this time.
There you go. What was interesting to me is Jay Lee's art style, and then you think about Space Ghost and you think, but those are nice.
They were really nice. With the, I have to say I did not watch a lot of Space Ghost in my time, but the praying mantis creature looked pretty good.
Zorak
is I don't know. I've seen the image before, but yeah, no, Jay. I don't know. I've always liked Jay Lee's stuff. When I saw that, I thought Jay Lee. One day we should have.
I just think like Toth, Rude, Somni. Clean, like contained contour line, like, and you get Jay Lee in the mix, and you see something new.
Very true. Well, Stingray says the Zorak was great too. All right. I'm with that. Bill was living in his van back then. I did live in a van for how many months?
Was it by the river?
No. I slept when I moved. Let's see, I worked in Alaska for a summer after I got out of college. And then I chose to buy a VW bus and I went to Maine to live on my friend's property. And so I went to Maine in the fall. So I lived in my van in Maine through winter. 4 foot of snow, parked beside his, because he had like a hunting cabin on a 40-acre lot that, he had kind of converted. And he told me I could sleep on the couch or whatever. I was like, I've got a space heater.
My van's great.
My van's great. It was a camper van, right? I mean,
perfect.
My hair was probably another, 8 inches. I totally looked the part living in Maine in the middle of winter. And,
wow.
Yeah. So I did. Marcus, it's like, I don't know how Marcus, this is the only thing Marcus gets right about my biography, by the way. When he talks about chains and basements and ball gags, he's all wrong there. But that he got right, strangely enough. So all right, calf update time. Let's go there. What was this? This was the end of August, so 26th through the 1st. Average week for dealers finally through around 300,000 in sales. Panel page number 1. I didn't even read that earlier. Panel page had $85,000 in sales.
Go Glenn.
Yeah, 8 sales too. It wasn't just one item. Berkey had 72,000 in sales. Felix had 77,000 in sales, and Will had $46,000 in sales. Wow, that's different. Where's Albert or anybody? That's cool. All right, well, let's see what the top 6 sales from art dealers were last week. Okay, this is a Batman and Captain America graphic novel poster art. Oh yeah, no, now I know which piece this is. Okay, see, I didn't even get to read my market report this week. Yeah, $50,000 asking price on this one. Doggone it! Sold on the last day of August. Then Will sold this Justice League of America 96 cover, 1972 from Neil Adams. Asking price $45,000 on that one. Then Berkey, $35,000 on this Frank Brunner Adventure into Fear 16 cover. That one's been around a couple times, I feel like, in the last 10 years. I've seen that one out there before. And then we have a Zek Spectacular Spider-Man 132 page. Wow. From Glenn. Glenn sold this one. Yeah, it's a nice one. $20,000 asking price on that. All right, then this is a Felix entry here. Ryan Otley Invincible 1 cover went for $12,000. And another Felix piece to round out our top 6, Amazing Spider-Man issue 10, page 1 from Nick Dragotta. $10,000 asking price. Is that right? Single page?
No, I think that was the story.
Okay, I was going to say, I think usually Felix changes the title, but on this one, it just says issue 10, page 1. So complete story makes more sense. All right, cool. Man, everybody's writing my autobiography in the chat these days. All right, moving on to the auction results. What do we have? I know there were 3 different things. We had eBay Weekly, we had Heritage Weekly, and then there was a Heritage Zits showcase auction that added in like 40 grand. So the total for the week, honestly, the total for the week wasn't very good. It didn't even hit 300,000. It was like 294 or something like that. And last week, 29. So let's see, top 3 eBay and top 3 Heritage Weekly. Now, this first one, totally interesting here. Somebody put 3 pieces in one lot and sold it. And I double checked it. $17,000 this thing went for. There was a Hulk 250 page by Milgram. There was a Thor 226 page Romita Jr. and there was a Spider-Man 193 page Pollard work. That's weird. But look at look at that Thor.
Yeah,
you got Galactus on there, man. I mean, so this thing is sold for 17 grand.
And Ego and Hercules.
Yeah. And the Pollard's really nice too.
Yeah, it is. Scorpion?
Or Fly, right? I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know what is. But either way, great page. Then what do we get into from there? A G.I. Joe 52 page went for $42.50. Now that's a thigh gap right there.
Oh, big one.
And then a Neil Adams sketch, and I double checked this one. It did go for $22.50. So those are the top 3 from eBay last week. And then where do we go on Heritage Weekly? Oh, that's right. A Sugar and Spike complete story. Like I said, last week was weird, right? $26.40 top selling item. So that one was in there, and then you don't see dinosaurs in here, and even though it was $2,000, right? And then you get the Lance and Kevich Nightwing. And Huntress cover, $25.20.
Which we discussed.
Yes, we did. And we also discussed this other one, too. The Howard Porter John Dell JLA DPS. I mean, this one, I thought this one was going to go for, more than the other cover, but still, really solid price, $25.20. No dinosaur art in there, even though the dinosaur piece was over $2,000 when we did the preview last week.
Must have stalled right after that.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen to this other one. Maybe the Leaning Tower will push it into a different stratosphere.
An Italian collector.
You got that right, Chris. That's those 2 beers talking. I should take the edge off before I come in, and maybe I'll be fun.
It helps. It helps.
It does. Oh man, yes, you get that right, Marcus. All right, we can dive right into more fun stuff here. Let me get our weekly picks out there. Now, it was an odd week, wasn't it? I had a hard time picking
yes.
10. So a little bit slow. I can tell you, just based on the app and watching we have the kind of counter on the new page. So I'm really, really familiar with like the amount of art getting posted. It was like a little bit of a slower week. It was down by a couple hundred. So
yeah, and the stuff that was getting posted, I don't know, like there just wasn't much that I was like into. Unfortunately, I got to 10 and was glad I did it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're gonna check out your 10 and then the 10 I picked, and we'll compare notes here. So let me try to get the screen a little wider. So Alberto, I haven't seen Alberto in the chat tonight, but we've got to.
After giving me so much heat for not picking anything that he posts, and then
he's not here.
Hey, Alberto.
I hate to say it. I actually had a guy, and I even forget the name. I'll have to go back and look. Who went premium? Probably about a 7-8 year member. Who just said he really appreciates everything about CAF and the work we've done on the live streams and how he's not able to tune in live, but he just loves the stuff that we're doing. He said, but he added at the end, but Chris has never once picked one of my pieces, and it was with a smiley face. But he didn't blame me; he blamed you.
Hey,
So, but here you go. So Alberto, you got him, and he's not even here.
Yeah,
but it happens. But the thing is, that's cool. People care, man. And that's kind of why we try to spread the love around when we do these picks. I mean, it doesn't always work well, but But the thing is, it's a lot of work. But I appreciate the fact that people are watching. It's important to get their collections recognized. I mean, they wouldn't be posting on CAF if they didn't want their stuff to be, be seen. So yeah. So Felipe Massa, there's a Massafera in the house tonight.
Yep. I think Alberto commented the same thing that I'm going to say, but this is maybe my favorite Cap costume, so that's a huge factor in the pick. But also the Jim Lee homage is obviously amazing. Anytime somebody homages this cover, I'm kind of there for it. It's probably, I would say it's easily my favorite X-Men cover. I think it's a lot of people's favorite X-Men cover. But to see it painted like this, and obviously Masfera, I think is near the top of his game. I mean, if he levels up any higher than this, I mean, Alex Ross has some very serious competition. But great source lighting. I mean, he does such a good job creating volumes in the figures. And, like, especially Wolverine, the way Wolverine is lit, he looks massive, right? He looks really thick. And then, he plays the characters, their statures against each other really well here too, which Jim Lee did as well. But there's just a lot to love.
There is, and I didn't realize Cap's shield was translucent. I don't know how I didn't notice that.
It's his energy shield.
Ah.
So I think this is when Bucky had it. When Bucky had the shield.
Okay, yeah, watching the chat. Antoine said, as seen on Cal next to their post. If you ever get it featured, we've actually talked about that.
We should do that.
We really should actually. And when we featured on Cal, just like when we feature artwork, when Colin features a piece a day, and comments in the chat, we highlight those. We should find a way.
You did the little medals for the best ofs.
That's true too. Yeah, we've talked a lot about some ways to give out medals and
badges.
Right? Yeah, I was trying to think of the word badges. Yeah, just for different stuff. Whether it's the number of comments you've made on pieces over time, all that kind of stuff. I think there can be a lot of fun ththings that we can integrate into CAF.
For sure.
Yes, Mikhail is the one who suggested a badge ages ago. I know. Trust me, we can prioritize things and get that in there. But I do think it would be cool. It's cool to have that one featured piece a day and that Colin picks.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I think
the first time I got featured, I remember like I called Eric and I was like, my art's featured on CAF right now. Go look.
Right. Well, there you go. We need to make it a priority.
Yep.
We know who would win the most comments over time. Exactly, Stingray. Marcus would get to the platinum. He's probably at the platinum level today, so he would just get.
You could call the badge. You could call the badge this is the way or something.
This is the way. You're right. We definitely could. So, but this is a good first piece. I thought this thing was amazing when I first saw it, and again, the lighting, the red hue on the characters. I mean, Massafera just. I love his approach to his work. I mean, I'm enamored of it. I'd like to get a Massafera one day. Yeah, I really would, because I think he's just so talented.
Well, you know a guy.
I do know a guy. Yes, I do. Oh man! All right. So Carl Choi picked this one up, Machine Man #1 page, and so I don't know how I missed this, because I love anything from Machine Man, and I was just surprised when this was in your set, because I didn't see it before. But you get Windsor Smith finishes on Herb Trimpe layouts.
Yeah. This is actually a real nostalgia pick for me, because this is one of the first comics I read when I was a kid. So I had a buddy that was if you can be a Marvel zombie in 3rd grade, he was a 3rd grade Marvel zombie. So only read Marvel. I had only really been exposed to DC from like reading my uncle's comics. And fell absolutely in love with this Machine Man book, in spite of the fact that like in 3rd grade, you can't process what's happening in this comic, right? But I just knew that I loved looking at it. I love the fact that like the 4 covers, like he kind of came together over the course of the 4 covers, those images. And it's really, it's noodly, like, I think we were kind of just talking about Barry Windsor Smith, like loving, to layer on the detail. And he definitely does that here. It's got crazy character designs through the whole thing. It's kind of like a, what people thought the future were going to be back when this was written. And so it's just got a lot of like nostalgic appeal for me. And then, add in the fact that it's Barry Windsor Smith, and that's a great reason to pick this.
I agree. Did it cost? It's got to be $150 one day it was priced at, but yeah, Carl. I don't know, but it's cool. It's again, you follow Carl. He's one of the galleries I watch, and you just never know what people are going to collect. Clearly, this was an important piece for him, and it's like I always think more modern stuff with Carl, right? And I mean, he's got a different taste, but yeah, that's cool. I love seeing.
But a Valiant lover, and if you love Valiant, chances are you also love Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah, you know what?
That makes sense.
So the moment you say that, now it all makes perfect sense. It's back to Barry. Yeah. But anyways, these were cool. When these books came out, I loved them. The covers were inventive for the 4-issue series, and the stories were great. So nice pick. Congrats, Carl. Now, where are we going from here? Oh, yeah. Steve Lawrence. He's like, Steve Lawrence has been on a tear since he popped on the calf, and everything he posts is just absolutely amazing. This is one of my favorite Byrne FF covers, just because breaking up the logo like that was just cool to see when it happened.
This has so much Kirby influence in it. I mean, I think that's really the reason that I like it so much. I mean, Terminus's design, like the background and the foreground, especially Kirby. Even the angle is very Kirby-ish. Breaking up the masthead or breaking up the logo, the type, I think is such a great, cool choice. What a great thing to do. And when this was on the stands, that it like raised some eyebrows, because that's such a great and like frowned upon thing to do. Like companies hate when you mess with those logos, but this was the period where Byrne pretty much could do no wrong. So I'm sure that he didn't take a lot of editorial heat for that. But I want to point out the fact that I picked the Fantastic Four cover without the Thing on it. So in spite of the Thing not being on it, it got picked. So this run where he, chose to put the Thing was in his solo book, and so they put She-Hulk in the FF. That was a sore spot for me, so I picked it in spite of that. But I mean, it's John Byrne, it's FF. What else can you say?
Not a whole lot. James Siegel says Steve is an aspiring Bill J. Yeah, he's getting close. The things that he's picked up, I mean, it's very impressive. And yeah, I mean, you breaking up the logo like that, it's like Simonson when he busted the Thor logo when he came in. Just I'm going to shake things up and do things the way I want to do, and Marvel let him. So no, this is cool. And you're right. I never looked at Terminus like Kirby creation, but now that you mention it, just the way he's on, totally see it. Yeah. All right. Did I get I don't know if I put my like on that one yet. I did. Okay, good. Oh, and look at this, everybody. Look at this. 276, 13, and 206. Is everybody twitching out there that I haven't looked at this in a long time? 276. I can't wait to go see what all those are. I might wait till it gets to 1,000 and see if it breaks something.
Oh my God. just yell over, Maureen, will this break the site?
We got an experiment coming around right now. So the Thing was off finding himself this time. So let's check it out. Yeah. All right. So we got a Mr. Sean Gordon Murphy Batman. Now, is this a published piece? What is this? It's a commission.
I think this is a commission. Yeah.
Huh. What year is on that? Is that 18? Is that what it says?
2018. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really nice. I like this piece.
I think I love the strength of this piece. Like it's extreme. It's so bold. Like there's a lot of black. Like the shapes, the angles are like what this is really all about. It's almost secondary, the fact that it's Batman. Like in fact, it reads as Batman because of the climbing cord and things, the little spikes and things like that we associate with Batman. But this is so graphic, and the format lends itself so well to that pose. And the strike throughs that he's done in the background, like the little, dashed ink lines and things like that, like it carries so much weight along that same plane. And the fact that it's in this more landscape format just makes that so perfect.
Yeah, agreed. I can't really add anything because it really is perfect. I see Rick and
it's just striking, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it totally is. And because the figure is sort of static, but the movement in the cape and the action lines just change everything. I mean, I know that I know it's a dynamic pose, but it feels kind of stiff in its own weird way. But right, exactly. And it might be just because he's filled the character in with so much black, but with the lines and the action lines in the back and just even the paint splatter around there, just give it exactly what it needs to make it just be dynamic and fluid, and I like it. Doggone. And I didn't even check to see whose calf gallery this is. Oh, Tom Smithyman. Okay, Tom was at OAX last year, so cool. Nice pickup there. And I chuckled when I saw this the first time. I'm chuckling now. Herb Trimpe, G.I. Joe yearbook, rock and roll. Look at that. Yeah, that is so cool.
So G.I. Joe, maybe not quite like Transformers, but G.I. Joe is going through a huge renaissance right now. I'm buying all the G.I. Joe classified toys for my nephew, so I'm reliving my youth through my nephew. And Rock and Roll was one of my favorite G.I. Joes. I loved these comics when I was a kid. I absolutely loved the figures, like the whole. I was a major G.I. Joe kid, and to see somebody bring home something like this that like has such a special place in my heart was I just had a cool moment like when I looked at this. And then, add in the fact that it's really, as far as like Herb Trimpe's concerned, this is so tight. Like this is a really good drawing by Trimpe. And I think, oh, cool. All right. Rock and Roll was probably one of my first ones too. I think my first one was Flash. But anyway, yeah, just, big blast of nostalgia, great, huge, single page image of Rock and Roll on the Ram, guns blazing.
I'm sorry, just reading through the chat because I don't know a whole lot about G.I. Joe. I never read it.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm terrible.
A little after your time.
Yeah, just a little bit. Let's see, Martin. He's a number one Marvel. When I got the Ram, I about died. I don't know what that means, but I'm so.
The Ram is the motorcycle.
I
think it's they all had acronyms. I think it's like Rapid Attack Motorcycle or something like that.
Okay.
So.
And it says Herb Trimpe all is what it says on there, Antoine. When I see that Gatling guns, but yeah. Well, who didn't love a Gatling?
Right? Still do. They're great.
Right. I mean, one of the reasons I love playing Doom was to run around with a Gatling gun. So I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is a good one, and
the second Trimpe of the week this week. That tells you where I was at with my picks.
Nick Postic. I see a name I'm not familiar with. Members for 19 years on CAF.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to check out their CAF because I'm not familiar. Then we have a Kevin Nolan Defenders pinup illustration here. I mean, it's not published commission-y, but everything you love in a Nolan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he definitely has an affection for these characters. You see that in the labor that went into this, right? Somebody pointed out in the comments basically what I wanted to say about it, which is I love how every character is having their moment. Surfer, yeah, he's in the back, but like he's striking a pose, he's on his board. Everybody else is, has like a power effect, or Valkyrie's got the glimmer on her sword. I mean, no one's getting paid short shrift here. And I also like the fact that like everyone is very proportional to one another. I kind of said that about the Masfera cover as well, but you've got Hulk like, huge. He basically goes side to side in the whole page, and he's like lurching at the bottom. And then Valkyrie is like very straight up and down and elegant looking. And, everybody just looks really cool on this. It's a great team composition.
Yeah, I like it a lot myself. Kevin Nolan will be back at OAX next year. It's one of the few repeats we've got. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with him. I got to get him on the show, I think, before OAX. So
maybe I could manage to talk to him if you would introduce me.
I would.
I can't approach him on my own. It's like it's hero worship to the nth degree.
He's such
and
a
I don't
nice
want to
guy.
be that guy.
All right. Well, I'll take care of that for you, Chris.
Thanks.
Let's see here. This is from Star Wars. Oh, The Mandalorian 2. I love this image. I kind of like the fact that with the Mandalorian set back. I love the scale, even though they're probably about the same size. I love the way he kind of positioned this. And this is Ruan, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this was a cool layout. I mean, is it a published piece? It's got to be a cover, right? So it is the cover.
It's a cover, right?
Yeah, nicely done. I mean, I love the textures. I mean, whatever that weapon is that he's got there, it feels metallic.
Yeah, definitely. And so does the Mando's armor for sure.
Oh heck yeah! No, this is brilliantly done. I love the fading the leg out like that. It makes it very dusty. He's got goggles on, so it seems like they're fighting in the middle of a storm. And it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it had kind of I think the reason I really liked it is it has kind of a, I don't know, almost like an adventure comic vibe to it. Like that could be like Indiana Jones and the Cairo Swordsman or something,
Right.
Like it doesn't need to be Mando and whoever this guy he's about to punch is, but for me, like I associate Star Wars with blasters and ships and stuff like that. So when you see something like this that's a little more like gritty, like Mando's unarmed and this guy has a primitive weapon, it gave it a whole different feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this. This is great.
You're dead on about the textures though. Those metals are like really incredible looking.
Yeah, nobody should be able to draw the textures on that weapon like that, but he does. Yeah, that's great. Now, Jason Paul, is that one? Yeah, Jason Paul, premium gallery owner, 5 years on CAF. All right, nice pickup, Jason.
Oh, is there a color one? Did he?
Oh, okay, here you go.
Yeah, and the coloring kind of adds to that like adventure comic feel.
Yeah, it does. It's really well done. Shockingly, I like it a lot. I wonder, if the colorist was does DK do their own coloring at all? I have no idea.
I think that looks like the colorist is credited under his name in the final.
I didn't notice that. Okay, you're right.
Probably Rochelle Rosenberg, if I had to guess, who's a Madison native. She lives here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to Jason on that one. Now, this is a Stuart Immonen cover, and whose CAF gal are we dealing with? Oh, Jason. Jason just shot me an email 10 minutes ago.
How cool is this?
I thought it was great. I mean, I didn't even want to know what the color piece it looked like, even though I did look. I just think the skeletal hands is awesome, and I would think that approaching this as an artist, I mean that's a challenge. Like, how am I going to draw skeletal hands that many on one page and make them feel as if they're real and it's a threat.
Well, they're like spectral, they're menacing, they're like, and he does such a perfect job with the line weights on this. I mean, the graphic quality, the more solid black quality of the hands, and then the more like thin line, like lilting look of I think it's Scarlet Witch. Yeah, she's got the headpiece on.
Yeah.
The way he sets the two apart just like heightens this like element of dread that you get. But like this has like EC Comics vibes to it. It's got album cover vibes to it. And like the fact that it's like an Avengers cover is almost weird to me. But this image is incredible. I don't care that it's Scarlet Witch. That could be like anyone, laying down there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, this was striking the moment I saw it, and I would have picked it if you hadn't. So, yeah, this is a really nice piece.
Immonen is so good.
Yeah, how did it turn out when they colored it? It actually isn't so bad.
It's pretty cool.
When
Red
you mentioned
and green.
Yeah, well, when you mentioned spectral, I didn't quite understand. Now I know, right? Because
yeah,
okay, that's not bad. Not too bad. All right. And let's see here. I got the like on that one. Oh, I know where we're going with this one. Marcus. I was a little surprised. There's a photograph of me in this on this page.
Is there?
Yeah, right there.
Big there we go.
And little cocks right there. I know. Trust me, I was not thinking that. I'm like, I wanted to see who was the first person to comment on the piece, and that's what I got. So. tell me why. I mean, it's Daniel Warren Johnson. It's Transformers.
Sure.
It's everything that I know. I love Daniel. You love Daniel and Transformers, and then here you have this amazing large color piece.
So the thing I like the most, and I think I've always liked the most about Daniel's commissions, is that they tell a story, and there's a very clear, like, this is an epic moment that's taking place right here. You know, like, Megatron has bested Optimus. He's got the Matrix in his hands. I mean, you know, as far as like what could be happening here, everything's at stake right now in this image from a story perspective. So I love it. I love it for that reason. I love it too for the lighting is absolutely incredible on this. I think Dan is like, he's having fun painting versus, you know, really agonizing over painting. And I think that shows in these pieces that he did, like, you know, ahead of San Diego and things like that to bring to the show. This is maybe the coolest one of these I've seen, and there's a few of them out there.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. The lighting on this thing is very dramatic. I mean, just like, you know, and the leg right here behind. What was this thing called? Since I have never watched Transformers, I know
that's the Matrix.
The Matrix.
So that's what the Autobot leaders have inside of them.
Well,
you have to watch Transformers the movie, Bill. Even if you're not a Transformers fan, good God, that's a great movie.
Is it like Mark Wahlberg? Is that
No. The animated, like the G1 Transformers movie from the 80s.
All right.
It's seriously, it's really good.
Okay, I'm going to write
it
that down.
It stands on its own.
Okay. Well, I have to agree with you 100% about the commissions that Danny Warren Johnson does. They not only tell a story, but they're usually dramatic and fun. And I mean, they're impactful. There's something that we as collectors don't get, you know, too often in a commission, right? I mean, and that's fine, because a lot of times when we just want to get the character that we want. But you know, I think about Tyler T's commission from Daniel. I mean, there's many standouts that Daniel's created, and it clearly, you know, and I think we've heard he's probably not going to be doing anything like that too often in the future. But the bottom line is that when he's taken them on, he's put a lot of himself and a lot of care and thought into the commissions he's done, and this one is right there too. Southern Comic Key says the Transformers movie made my kids cry.
I probably started bawling when I saw it the first time when I was that age. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to see it. You guys are killing me.
Yeah. It was the debut of my favorite Transformer, so that's where my favorite Transformer, Springer, and that's where he made his debut. So he's like the Han Solo of the movie.
Everybody's pissed off now that I don't know a lot about Transformers or G.I. Joe.
Yeah, well, you're a little older than some of us.
I am. I am. And that's what are you going to do, right? I'm 56. I missed a lot of this stuff. I mean, after He-Man, I mean, there's a gap there for me. So, because after that, it's like when my kids start watching it's Powerpuff Girls or something, right? I mean, I mean, I missed all this cool stuff.
True. It's the greatest age in toy in all of toys, like 83 to 87.
Mm-hmm. And yes, for those of you who were asking, that when I was at San Diego Comic-Con,
that hair,
that was me after a bad dye job, I think, right? But yes, it was funny. He made me put it together. Marcus was basically like, "You're not leaving until you put my gift together," and I did. And there you go. He got the picture of it with me holding it. So, yeah, I had a stick and a hoop as a kid. James, that's all right. Cup and ball. Thanks, Chris. Keep your hands where I can see them. Okay.
It's all good here.
All right. Well, thank you. And honestly, Marcus, it's still in my bag. I haven't unpacked from San Diego, so I haven't taken. Maureen and the kids haven't seen it yet. Well, I got all the clothes out. There's a bunch of stuff like that's still in the bag. But anyway, speaking of me, apparently we got this one as your final pick for the week. This incredible artwork by Aranga.
Yeah. The likeness on this, Bill, do you appreciate the likeness on this? Because it is uncanny.
Yeah, that is. He got me there.
A lot of people have drawn you now. I think this is the closest thing to reality.
It is. It is.
I mean, the arms. No.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do there.
Between James and I, we can get you on a program.
I would like that. You know, I'm a little bit overdue to get back in shape, so I could use some kind of program. But yes, I have to thank James for doing this, and I know he sold T-shirts at OAX, and the money went to charity. He sold quite a few of them, so there you go. Look at that. Yeah, the likeness is uncanny.
And I'm hoping for more fun T-shirts this year.
Oh, come on! There's going to be plenty of of shenanigans like that going on. But yeah, that's this. Everybody embraced the spirit of OAX in all the right ways. And even when we mentioned that, what was the thing we talked about earlier about? Well, in the previous show, there was something about like the EC. People would sign up to be kind of part of the club, right? Mm-hmm. And I had mentioned, it was like the EC fans club. And I said, we need to have a comic art fans club and give out, shirts and, I think number one Marvel fans and pins and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that those are the kinds of things that we're definitely thinking about because we want to keep things fun and enjoyable. I don't know about a woman in a bikini sitting on my lap holding onto Thor's hammer as being something that we will produce, but as long as you guys keep doing it and having fun, I'm all for it.
I can tell by looking at her she's not worthy.
No, she is not.
Doesn't have a worthy bone in her body.
Thor is not, Thor is not bringing her home to Odin. I can tell you that. No. Secret Dakota ring, says Carl. That's a good idea. Then only those who have it, can. You're on the inner.
Send each other secret messages.
Mm-hmm. Yes. James wants me to make that my calf avatar.
That would be hot. You should do that.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'll think about it. But thank you, James. Thank you for picking this one, Chris. And thank you to Aranga for taking on the challenge of having to put something like this together.
Yeah, I mean, James said he executed his vision perfectly, and I agree.
Oh boy! All right, so I'm sure you saved this one over here for me.
I did. It hurt, but I did.
Like, all right, now I know you should have picked this one.
Yeah,
you left it there for me. I mean, Ankur. I mean, I was just kind of surprised to even see it. I think this is
me too.
It's just a piece of history. And I didn't read everything that Ankur wrote. He didn't write a lot, but all I had to read was there are some pieces that carry so much nostalgia. It's hard to even fathom being able to hold them in your hands. I read that and I'm like, I get it. I don't need to know. I don't need to read anything more. I kind of actually went from there and just kind of read the comments just to see who came in and what the
reactions.
Yeah, because this is like an image that I think anybody that everybody had this poster. I mean, I did this after my point there, but the thing is, the image was always out there, and it's still out there today.
Oh, T-shirts and lunch boxes and but this is an absolutely immortal image of these characters by Art Adams for like anybody who was into comics in this period. I completely agree. This is one of those pieces, I've said this before, but this is one of those pieces that when you see it come to calf, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe someone owns this.
Right. Yeah. And okay, this wasn't after my time. This is 87. This is right about the time I stopped buying. But yeah, gosh, dang it. This thing is it's a joy to see. And it's funny, you look at it, not seeing it colored, it has a different impact.
It's a lot lighter, isn't it?
It is, and it's not. Yeah, I was. Again, you look at it's like the lines are so fine. I would have always thought it
uniform.
Right, exactly. So the image-wise, it was a little different than what I would have expected. But
it's almost like he knew that it was going to be how it would be colored. Like he inked it according, knowing that it was going to be a poster, it was going to be like whatever. Like he really seems to have had that in mind.
He had to have, but still, congrats, Ankur. I mean, as far as things go, this was like the piece of the week on CAF, in my opinion. So very nice to see it. And do you quit collecting after you pick up a piece like that? I don't know.
Right?
It's hard to top that.
Yeah, I've wondered the same thing. Chuck and I have talked about that a few different times. Like, is there one where you'd just be like, I'm good now? I know there is for me, but I know I'll never have it, so I'll just keep collecting. Unless Dave Mandel wants to send me that Mike Zeck Punisher Limited Series #1 cover so that I can rest.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't think
it's gonna happen.
you're never going to rest.
Yeah.
Oh man. The next piece up. This is in Duke Fleet's Cap Gallery. I thought this was I kept coming back to it. I love the odd colors that are in it. That yellow. I mean, yellow is usually a color that doesn't have a lot of weight, but it just works really well with whatever this illustration was used for. I mean, the guy is so enamored of this woman dressed up as a cowgirl, and
she's tiny.
Right, and she's tiny. Guess. Right. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this piece.
Yeah.
But Harry Kane, I have no idea who Harry Kane is. Might be the only Harry Kane artwork on.
Sounds like a '70s porn star name.
It does. It really does. Harry Johnson or something.
Yeah.
His name. But either way, I mean, I love it. I mean, as far as a men's magazine illustration, she's beautiful smile. I mean. And clearly, he's the guy's like daydreaming or something, and she's bopping him in the head with a light bulb. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but
sure.
I think it's fantastic.
It's a very fun illustration. I mean, regardless of what's happening.
Marcus, it's got Sharon on it. All right.
Yeah.
That's what Anthony would say. Dream Cowgirl. See, I didn't even read the title.
Okay.
Yeah, he's dreaming.
And she's a cowgirl.
I hate to say this, as dumb as this is going to sound, I never even saw the horse because I just so fixated on the figure and that guy's and his smile. I never noticed she was actually riding a horse. Yeah, that's totally stupid. But that's I don't know. All right, I guess I'm daydreaming now. So let's move on to the next piece. This is in Mikhail's collection, Peach Momoko. Obviously, we saw a couple pieces by Peach last night in the show with Matt. There was something about this piece. Peach, some of her pieces are more, more kind of average misses to me. But something about this one, I really like the fact that it's all in grayscale. Maybe I'm a little tired of seeing her color pieces, and then I see a piece that I think tonally, hits all the right notes. I think that I love. I just love this image. I don't know why. I kept coming back to it. I'm like, I was trying to give myself a reason not to pick it. But I like it that much, and because again, a lot of her color pieces, they don't do it for me. I mean, they're flat. I feel like she's good enough that she can kind of knock them out, and they're completely serviceable commissions. Even some of the cover work, but
I'm the first to admit, like, I kind of don't get it. Like, I look at the fervor for the from her fans, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know what that is.
I think it's the style in a lot of ways, but for me, and I talked about this with Matt last night, is when I first saw her work, it was this it was always ink wash, black and white only, and it was very impactful. You could tell it was like personal work for her, and that's like 8-9 years ago, and so seeing this piece all grayscale, I like it. I'm assuming it was a commission piece, right? It says Death, New York Comic Con 2023. So there you go. Yeah, I like it.
That's cute, and honestly, to me, it looks like a sticker. Like this is like a sticker somebody would have on their laptop or something. It's got that. It's even like the finish of it looks stickery to me, like the way she's done the highlights and things like that. It's very slick.
Yeah. No, well, this is nicely done and a nice pickup for Mikhail. And what was this? Oh, the piece with the angelic skull. Yeah, that. Steamer. I'm telling you, if you Google Peach Momoko, try to just type in maybe ink wash or something like that, and you'll be surprised to see her older work.
The earlier stuff.
The earlier stuff is just really, really, really cool. Different. I mean, it shocked me when I first saw it. So, and again, nothing against her current style at all, but I like this one. So next up, this was in George Hodge's Cap Gallery, right? Yes.
George Hodge with
Raphael
Grandpa.
Yeah, this thing is it's grungy and dirty, and I mean, it's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this and I was like, I want to buy this. I want to buy something from this book. I didn't even know what is it from? Strange Tales, Dear Logan. So I don't know what it's from, but I'm totally jealous of George for getting this piece because I love it. You know, Grandpa's style is one that, you know, I've admired it since I've seen him, you know, out on the scene, and you know the Batman book he did was totally cool, but I had no idea.
Now often imitated.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
There are a lot of people doing Rafael Grampa now. Yeah.
Yep. Well, so yeah, I'm totally jealous. It makes me want to go check out Chiaroscuro's. Is he rep by Chiaroscuro?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think this is actually recent.
Well, that's what's yeah. I mean, so it makes me want to go over there and see if there's any of these pages available and what they're going for, because I love
not cheap.
No, I know that. I mean, I remember when the Batman book came out, it was ridiculously expensive. But
I'm very happy for George to have snagged this one, to drag this one to the ground.
I'm sorry, I was reading Strange Tales was like an anthology where Marvel got a bunch of indie artists to do Marvel characters. So maybe it's older. I don't know. I mean, but I'm going to go look.
I remember that book, and I remember Grampa did like a great cover for it, but I don't remember it being. Oh, there's a date. Scroll up.
2010.
Oh, it is that. Okay, it is from that.
Cool. Okay, so it is older. Well, then there probably isn't anything out there that I'll be able to pick up. But George Hodge, if you ever let this one go, talk to me, because I would definitely be interested. Where am I going from here? Oh, Avengers Annual. Now, who is this? Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force was dropping a ton of really cool art this last week, and I'm not going to click on their gallery just to point that out. Find their calf and appreciate what they were dropping. But this is, you know, again, Michael Golden, memorable issue, and I really like this piece. Honestly, for the team shot in the last panel, there's so much to enjoy about this entire book. You know, it was, you know, introduction to Rogue and everything, but still, Golden to me just shined. I mean, there was something I liked him before that, but when this book came out, I just thought he was a shit. I wanted to see him draw every book that Marvel was putting out.
I think everybody did.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just such a great example. So Phoenix Force, whoever you are a lucky soul.
That's a winner.
It totally is. And again, check out their calf, because they dropped like at least 4 or 5 other pieces that I contemplated picking over this one. So it was a good week for them.
It's good to see Golden in here, though, right? Like, we don't get to talk about him much.
No, and I mean, I could go back and look at it. You know, it's just the right era. I mean, doggone. I mean, yeah, I would love to own this. Man,
it's a beauty.
Jealous. All right, then Mr. Halpern dropped. You know, okay, I'm put my like on this one. This is from Zap number 0. Robert Crumb, obviously the comic that plugs you in. I saw this and I'm like, okay, we don't feature too many crumbs, because you know, again,
you can't.
Right, you can't.
Yeah,
and this one kind of borderline, whatever. But this is just, it's too cool to not pick this thing. I think you know, Halpern's, he's kind of got the best of you know, pieces that are out there. I know he has a few other crumbs in his collection, but this one's just slick and fun, and it embraces like everything about you know, this era of underground indie comics that you know, you'd want to see. So congrats to him for picking it up, and yeah, I don't know what more to say about it other than I think it's freaking awesome. And
it is incredible lettering.
Yep. I mean, and again, the technique is just freaking great.
Yeah.
And it's on, I didn't even notice that before. Look, it's on grid paper. Look at that. Huh. Just whatever he had available, I guess. But wow. Graph paper. Okay, whatever. Cool. Well, congrats, Mr. Halpern. Marcus gets the plug emoji in there before Rick Welch. All right. A couple more here. This was entitled
love that.
Yeah, I did too, man. Clockwork Orange poster homage kind of piece, and who's the artist on it? Alfie Gallagher. I don't know who Alfie Gallagher is.
Another Tyler T find.
Exactly. it's just graphically, compositionally, it's perfect. You know, I mean, it's again, he's using Spidey's costume as like just this flat graphic element, you know, especially there in the lower half of him, maybe less in the top, where he's kind of giving them some more dimensionality within the hands and everything. But I just think it's awesome, and you know, I love the Mysterio, treating him as a puppet. I don't know how Tyler.
It's a crazy concept. It's a crazy concept for a commission in the first place, and then to see it get executed at this level, I feel like is really that's really the treat here.
Exactly.
Is that, you know, you gave the guy a crazy idea for a commission, and then this is what you got.
Tyler's amazing. Antoine says, "Who is Tyler T?" Tyler T is I'll even put his stuff. He finds some of the most interesting artists out there to get commissions from. I'm going to put a link to his CAF gallery in the chat. But yeah, Tyler has just an amazing eye. You know, along with you, Chris, Kyle. There's several people who I think find, you know, really emerging artists, and Dan
Ranga's great at it too. Dan T. Yep.
So those are the CAF galleries I watch, because I love to see who is their next pick, because it may very well be somebody that I want to get something from. I mean, I don't know who Alfie is, but I'd love to see other work by them.
The other great thing about it is a lot of times you get these guys at the point in their exposure. I don't want to say in their career or their, you know, whatever, but they're kind of at the beginning of their arc, so to speak, right? And not talent wise, not technique wise, but like pricing wise, right? Like some of these are for the quality of the commission you get and how cool they come out, they can be a great value.
Without question. Yeah, let's see, what is this? Galactus Silver Surfer. Shit, I mean, look at that. That's fantastic. And again, a different
Silver Surfer's pose is so cool.
One eye with Galactus, rubble, you know, broken planets around them. I mean, a totally different perspective on a pair of characters that we're so used to seeing in many different ways. Who, you know, and yeah, I mean, whoever Alfie is, I'd love to, you know, I want to see more of their work, and you know, maybe I even want to commission them. I mean, shoot, if you're going to get something like that, or what Tyler got,
yeah,
wow. They buy the art before the prices blow up, and other people just complain after it costs too much. Yeah, true. That's true. But that's why following other collectors that you admire because of stuff like this, it's a wise thing to do.
Yep.
All right, 3 more to go here. What do we got? Paul Pope. This was a commission that Mark V got, and I think if I read correctly, it was just he asked Paul Pope create a piece of art that would be like a retrospective of your career in the commission. And then the things he writes are, you know, is very apprehensive and scared. It wasn't something I'm used to doing. And then he gets this piece from Paul Pope.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's let me open it like this. There we go. That's about as good as we're going to get to look at it. It's fantastic. I mean, it has so many characters in it that Paul Pope has worked on. You know, I think Mark got more than he could have ever hoped for with a pitch like that for a commission.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And art wise too, it's got everything you would want from him, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got some of that like wild hand lettering, and like, you know, the inks, I mean, the inks, like that's the whole deal with Paul Pope, right? And you've got like he kind of like self-homaged here, right? Like in every little way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. So, yeah, sometimes we all know that people who do commissions take risks, right? You never know. He's commissioning Paul Pope, and he was nervous, but wow, this thing came out fantastic. So, yeah, congrats, Mark. I mean, another piece that got a lot of attention this week on CAF. 17 likes, 15 comments. So that's going to be a winner. Let's see, and probably something he should put in the best of at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Then I always try to get something illustration-y in the sets that I pick. So McGinnis paperback cover, and look at
the
this
master.
This was an easy one. I knew it immediately when I saw the thumbnail. Like, this is just too perfect, and I love it. I mean, she's sexy. We focus, I don't know. I can go on and on. McGinnis is a master. I think this thing is incredible. And who the heck? Johnny C, man. I went to get. I know I've been in Johnny's calf gallery before. Clearly, he likes illustration art because that's his avatar.
Yeah.
But I can't think of like the focus of his collection. Must all be illustration art. Seductress, says Rick Welch.
The background is so simple, but it's so rich.
Yeah,
it's got to look amazing in person.
Good. 30 on that. I mean, $3,500. Wow. Been on his wall for the last 20 years.
Wow.
Man. I'm jealous.
Cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, Matthew P. and the Joker Lee Bermejo piece. I love Bermejo stuff, especially, the more finished pieces like this. Lighting on this thing is crazy cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, riffing on an image that we're, already familiar with, but just putting on, the Bermejo touches to make it a little bit more visceral and grisly. And at
the same time, like there's an element of realism to it because he does pour so much into the textures and into the washes. It really, I mean, one, it's very dimensional, right? Like there's a clear, like right in your face foreground, and Joker's a little bit pushed to the back. Like, but to me, Bermejo's work, like on something like Joker, is so perfect because it is like Joker could be a real guy, right?
Right.
In essence. And like you see that here.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I like this piece a lot. And Bermejo has always been, very like a curiosity. I like his work a lot. I wish he would do more. I wish he was doing less digital now and more traditional.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. He would be so well collected at this point. When his stuff was coming out, people were like falling over each other to get to Mark's booth to see whatever pieces he was bringing to San Diego, and it was never a lot. He'd bring maybe a dozen new pieces when he would see Mark there, but everybody wanted to see Bermejo's work because it's so striking. His work and Paulo Rivera, like they were the number one and number two in San Diego. It was cool to see that. But yeah, this is great. I'd like to see more Bermejo work on calf. So that was it. That was my 10. Your 10 was Bermejo's.
Got done a little early.
The After Watchmen work I thought was traditional, wasn't it?
I think that's digital.
Is it really?
I think it is. I think he's been like almost all digital for like almost 10 years.
I'm shocked. I thought, well, but you know what? I can't now that we mentioned it, I can't think of.
I've never seen a page from it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm typing in the calf right now. There are a few, so maybe partially. There's not many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 8 pages on calf, and I can't say that maybe one's not duplicated, but all right. Very Willem Dafoe. Okay, Norland. All right, Chris, we did it again.
We're all done.
We made it to another one, and now it's Miller time. Well, not Miller time, but I'm going to go have a beer myself. But thank you as always. Be curious to see how the picks and art drop goes. Actually, there's been some pretty decent pieces I've seen in the first 4 or 5 days of the week.
Okay.
Thanks to the app. So it won't be as you won't have 2 Trimpies in your set next week.
Praise Jesus.
Yes, indeed. All right, man. Well, you have a good one, and we'll be talking again soon.
Thanks all.
All right. Well, we made it to another one. I thought for sure we were going to go over midnight tonight, but I'm glad that we didn't because it's been a long day for me since I started at 7:30. But I appreciate everybody hanging out with us for this whole time. And for once, it's like I don't have a show on Saturday. So, I mean, outside of a few other things, it's going to be nice to have a few days off. I've got a lot of work going on. Kazra and I are, I'd say we're in over our heads with OAX stuff right now. We're going to have a really big show next Thursday with a lot of announcements, a lot more. We had several announcements last Thursday, but this upcoming Thursday there will be more OAX announcements as far as guests are concerned. we've been talking with a lot of people. We've got new confirmations that we can talk about, and some of those TBA things that we hinted at last week. So that's what our focus is on. I can tell you the app, we had a nice release that went out to the beta testers. Was it yesterday? Everything's bleeding together. No, it was on Tuesday, I think. So it's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back with a few things to fix, but we're getting really, really close on the app release too, which I know everybody's tired of hearing about. We just want that thing out there. One of the beta testers said, just release it, even as is. And but so we're that close. It's ready. It really is ready, and we need to get it out there so we can stop talking about it and you guys can start messing around with it. So yes, I need a Zevia. But everybody, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. I will be back at it on Monday. I'll be doing it'll probably be a mix of poster stuff and some art that's going to be in the prop store auction. And it'll be a little different, but it'll be a prop store preview. And as I said, Tuesday, I don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'm going to work out something so we can have a 250th show to be proud of on Tuesday. So again, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you again soon.